Bill Self always has a very respectable program. And, wow, I'm going to go with hair weave on that, Lubie. I don't know that it's a piece, per se. We played piece or no piece, which is trying to figure out if the guy's wearing a hairpiece or not. Now, I was at a bar yesterday after I played tennis with my son in the morning. Wow, I mean, the people of Pompano Beach, whoever is selling the hairpieces here, is really just robbing people blind or assuming that they are blind because why not just stick a muskrat or a dead squirrel on your head? What is the point of wearing something that looks so stupid, so obvious?
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good Monday morning, everybody. Peel yourself off to Mad Monday here on the Defo Show on Ion Channel, where it's always great to be. Jeff Deforrest and one Mike Lubitz with you, and we're with you from 7 to 9 Eastern here live. And, of course, you can Google the Defo Show and find the archives of past shows where, before we get going here on the agenda, and you'll appreciate this, Lubie. It's not like I wasn't working over the weekend. Once again, Atlantic City. And it's the usual Desi Arnaz, Lucille Ball. You got some explaining to do, Lucy. Which I'll explain the details on that. But here you go. This was because of the fact that I have yet to start taking Prevagen and had a lot of thoughts over the weekend. And I always reference this guy's column. I thought it was great. I love a tidbits column in the sports section. Do you like a tidbits column? Short items, quick hitters.
Everything, yep.
Cover a lot of different bases. I mean, I don't know that we attempt to do that on this show because we tend to be a little bit long-winded on one thing, right? Like piece or no piece. I mean, how long have we been talking about whether Bill Self is wearing a hairpiece? Is it really that important? Is it going to change the situation in the Ukraine? Whether or not this guy's got a rug? Just fire it, like we said at Jim Nantz. Hit him right in the face with the thing tonight as they do the ball game. A note on that, though. Yeah, you know this guy, Dan Reisman? He's a writer, media critic in the New York Daily News. All right, so I had a little bit of a problem on, I guess it was Sunday morning. I go downstairs from the room. We're in Atlantic City over the weekend. That worked out great. The Spirit flight again left on time. The Fort Lauderdale Airport, though, has become beyond a circus. I don't know. What, do they need to expand this? I thought they doubled the size of the thing in the last, 5 years.
Yep, they did a whole thing. So whenever I've gone there, it's been peaceful. So I don't know what's going on with the times you're going there. Like, you're sort of freaking me out. We're going to take a flight in 3 weeks across the world. And I'm like,
good luck.
In this trouble to get to Jersey.
You'll be lucky to get to Cleveland. I don't even know. Never mind wherever it is that you're going. Greece, where are you going this time?
Greece. We're going to Greece, yeah.
Greece, very nice.
Yeah.
The only Greece that I came in touch with over the weekend was, I don't want to, make any disparaging remarks about our fine Italian-American friends, because I am a big fan. And I love any kind of mob-related thing. But that one corner of the Borgata Sportsbook, Racebook, I mean, I don't know what it is. There's a coffee shop here called the Cafe Sportivo. Have you ever seen that thing on Atlantic Boulevard in Pompano Beach, Florida? And it seems like retired mob guys just go there to hang out and exchange stories about maybe, corpses that they helped get rid of or, whatever it was that they did when they were connected. And I don't know that you had to be like in some kind of mob family. And once again, no disparaging remarks. I don't want like Bruno Sammartino screaming at me from the grave. He checked out, right? San Martino, he's done?
Yes, he passed, yes.
He passed. Yeah, he rolled a 7, a few years ago, but he lived a long time. The great Bruno Sammartino, who I had nothing but tremendous respect for. Who didn't like the Italian Food Festival? Who doesn't like Italian food, period? I mean, it's insane. And you can't find a better location of the, whatever. If there are 100 restaurants, let's say in any area of New Jersey, 87 of them are Italian restaurants. No, that's true. Absolutely true. Almost every restaurant is an Italian. You better be damn good at making Italian food if you're going to compete with every other restaurant that's open in the same category. Now, you'll find that in a lot of cities. Actually, the aforementioned Atlantic Boulevard, which is home for the Cafe Sportivo, where I don't think they sell anything there. They just hang out. I mean, I don't even know that they have like a little coffee machine. They sell some espresso, and that's it. And and the people just hang out there, and the place will be packed. And that's kind of how that corner is at the Borgata Racebook. Everybody in like sweatsuits. It's always the black sweatsuit with like a little white lining,
Yep.
and then sneakers that look like they've never been worn to participate in any kind of athletic activity. You ever seen that look? You know the
Oh
look,
yeah,
and,
yeah,
and,
yeah.
and a lot of gold jewelry.
Yeah.
And they stand right by the place where you have to
Beautiful.
go to get the racing form and maybe find out if you can get a seat in this place. You don't have to wear a suit there, a seat, and you're very reluctant to say, hey, "Excuse me, here, Vinny. I mean, would you hold court over there so I can get my racing form and sit down?" Not
I don't
necessarily
know
a
who
good
Vinny
move.
is.
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't do that without knowing. Clearly,
Who's that? Who's asking for Vinny? Huh?
exactly.
Well, there's no Vinny here. You got Vito, you got Louie, you got Paulie. No, it's great. The characters in that place reminded me very much of. It's a little bit more sophisticated version, and you never would have any inclination to have gone to this particular venue for simulcast plunging. But when they first brought simulcasting, and we always say this for you people that aren't from the state of Florida, you don't realize how deeply entrenched in the Stone Age our legislators are here. I mean, I guess all you have to do is take a look at Rick Scott if you're not familiar with Florida legislation. And this guy's a senator from Florida, like a stone criminal. And I mean, he admitted to like stealing billions of dollars.
It was his
He
company.
became the governor. So, of course, after his turn was up as governor, he couldn't run anymore. Yeah, let's put him in the Senate. Great. And we all know that Marco Rubio is a tool. I mean, come on, please.
Come on.
Is he like the worst? The only good thing he's done in his whole tenure as a senator, a U.S. senator, this guy is he's decided to do away. He was the guy who authored the bill to do away with daylight savings time. All right, Marco.
Good for you, Marco.
Way to go. Now, never mind that money from the National Rifle Association. I mean, did you see him go Ralph Cramden when he was in front of those Parkland shooting town meetings? And they would go, "Hey, Marco, are you going to give up the gun money?" And he's like, I haven't. Well, we haven't really processed that yet. What kind of processing do you have to do to a yes or no question there, Marco? Anyway, we're in a Stone Age, and they finally, after a long period of time, every other state in the country had it. Every other place in the universe, you were able to bet on races from away from your home track. Simulcasting, okay, which could be the thing that probably will put me in an early grave, but nonetheless, I love it. There's nothing like screen-to-screen activity in a race book when you don't have any other responsibility except trying to figure out, are you going to leave the place in time to make like your freebie dinner? Which and this is great. We walk into the whole situation. You know the story, right, Lubie? Where Mustang wins a jackpot, she takes down 11 dimes a couple of weeks ago. And then finds out she's in a drawing for supposedly $50,000. You're thinking, do we go back? I mean, even if we drop a couple of dimes, we're still up 9. And all right, we'll have another good time. See what happens. So we decided to fly up on Saturday morning to Atlantic City from Florida. And we're going to come back Sunday evening, which there's usually a 6 o'clock flight out of there. That's the regularly scheduled flight. And unfortunately, it didn't take off till about 8 o'clock last night, which was a bargain, trust me, compared to what most people were experiencing. And I'm not one to whine and complain. They did send out issue an alert saying that the original 6 o'clock time was now going to be 7. It turned into 8 once we got to the airport. But that being said, we were lucky because we were among the few that actually didn't have to divert completely all of our plans and find another way to go. Well, we're staying in Philadelphia for a night, and then we're going to drive back to Atlantic City, and supposedly they got a 3:15. You're like, what? But, I mean, it was chaos everywhere with flights, I guess, in the southeast, huh? I didn't experience that. I mean, it was okay weather. I wouldn't say that it was, Caribbean resort type weather in Atlantic City. 56 degrees, sunny one day, a little bit rainy and rank the next day. But nonetheless, I mean, a pleasant change for anybody that's used to being subjected to the desert-like heat that we experience here in South Florida. I wouldn't even call it desert heat. Desert heat would be pleasant, right? Without the humidity. Turn the temperature up to 126 degrees. What do I care? I'll get out a soccer ball and pretend I'm in the World Cup. That's a whole nother story also. I think Ray Hudson is going to talk a little World Cup with us this year. Ray Hudson, but it's not until, and as I refer to him, Ray Hudson, because of the accent. But wow, that would be brilliant. We're going to have a little, get together with him, and I'm going to try and convince him to become our soccer analyst here on the show. And this way, we don't look like stooges, Lubie. You with your quasi knowledge because your ex-wife liked soccer and NASCAR. Do you see how you prostituted yourself for a woman, Mr. Svengali?
Okay. I still like the NASCAR.
You had never mentioned NASCAR since this woman left you. Not one time.
Her thing.
If Jeff Gordon walked by right behind you right now, you wouldn't even recognize the guy.
I know.
That's the truth. And the soccer, you pretended to like, I don't know, what was that? You were pandering to Phil Shane? What were you doing? See, I really believe this. Be yourself if you're going to be in the media. Be yourself if you're going to communicate with people. But, I mean, you sold yourself out to the devil there, trying to appease this woman. It's noble of you. And it didn't work.
I always have. I liked the World Cup since I was in college. The NASCAR was definitely something I did that I was not normally into and have not been into since. But I like the soccer. I don't expect to talk about it here, but I watched the World Cup and I watched the Euros. I've always done that. It's fun.
Unbelievable. NASCAR. You should have seen this kid. He was like, hey, man, yeah, we got to have these drivers on. We got to get these drivers on. What drivers?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Some guy's carrying a gas can. You wanted to put him on the show. It was unbelievable. Anyway, we're all over the place here as per usual. So I end up in Atlantic City, going up there under the lure that the Mustang's going to be in a drawing for $50,000. What do I have to lose? I'm not getting any younger. I'm zeroing in on 71 years old. I mean, how many days do I have left? I don't know. Jack suggested the other day that I stick to my April Fool's prank and actually retire. Jack Namer called me. He said, hey, that's good news, Deef. I guess we don't have to do the show anymore.
That's good.
Like, what are you talking about, Jack? It was a joke. He goes, oh.
That's good news. Congratulations. He's like,
so he called me right after the show on, what was that, Friday?
I wondered why.
He was all excited. I'm like, Jack, what's up? He goes, congratulations.
Oh, no.
That's never a good sign.
I was scared. I was like, what? What's going on?
The guy running the network is like applauding the fact that as an April Fool's joke, you announce your retirement. All right, but I'm figuring this $50K will help get us through, these formative stages here that we're in, where, you never know exactly what level of support you're going to get. And while I do believe that all of it's going to work out in the end, and it won't be that far off that everything goes our way, my horoscope's been saying that, and yet you're talking to a guy, or listening to a guy anyway, that only two things I really go to right away in my New York Post is, the entries from Aqueduct and my horoscope. So
solid ground.
What kind of substance is that to start your day? That's what I use to fuel my day. A horoscope and the racing results, entries from Aqueduct, but you have like no detail on any of these horses. So it's kind of futile to be picking them out of the newspaper. And yet I attempt to do that, just that. I really believe somehow, some psychic powers are going to come to me?
God.
All of a sudden I'm one of the Redgraves. Which one was it that was freaked out that thought she had lived 1,000 lives? Was that Lynn Redgrave? Vanessa Redgrave? It was one of those Redgrave chicks. All right. Leslie Visser, I love that. One of those Redgrave chicks.
Entire thing. She's not wrong.
All right. So I end up in Atlantic City. That make a long story even longer here. We have a lot of time to fill. We're going to get to Tony Segreto in the 8 o'clock hour. Tony's going to join us today. Juxtaposition time with John Kajemi. They flip-flop days because Tony's on the road traveling. And good luck, Tony. I want to tell you that right now. Good luck if you're flying commercial. Tony's probably at a point there. He travels with Joey Kornblit, who at one time was very much, just immersed in the fabric of the Miami sports scene. Joey Kornblit was, I don't want to say that he was as big as Marino. It's not like, he couldn't go anywhere and sit down, but nonetheless, Joey, a beloved athlete. And one of the things that I liked about the South Florida sports scene is we didn't have major sports back then. We had football, professional football with the Dolphins, and the Hurricanes were kind of just beginning when I moved to Florida. Their run, although it seemed almost impossible that it was really going to happen, except for the fact that it was being designed and orchestrated by the great and late now Howard Schnellberger here. Lubie, it's a pleasure to be on your show. No, he didn't talk like Ed Ogeron.
He wasn't.
What is wrong with me today?
He had that accent, but he could hear, you can understand him.
That's Ogeron, right?
Oh, and the professor
So-
said it's Shirley MacLaine. Shirley MacLaine's the one.
Oh, McLean, not the Redgraves. Yeah, McLean. Yeah. Very nice, Professor. Professor doing a dynamite job. I don't know how the professor's doing this stuff. Although I will say this, as part of the sporting, fabric and fiber of what I was doing, naturally, I wanted to bet the 2 games in a parlay Saturday night. And you know what my opinion was. And I said this early on
You
that
nailed it.
I liked Kansas.
Yeah, I think you
I
nailed
think they were going to be better than Villanova anyway. And then Villanova loses this Justin Moore kid, which I wasn't that familiar with, to tell you the truth. But nonetheless, it didn't take much. I mean, one look at the box scores, and you realize that this guy was an important element for the Villanova Wildcats. Obviously, a very admired teammate of the fellows that did play the game. But shorthanded against a team, it was a wake-up call. That second half against Miami it kind of sparked a vital transformation, did it not?
That's what it
Of
feels
the
like.
Kansas Jayhawks. I mean, they were lifeless, listless. I mean, they were in there with a puncher's chance, but Miami was outplaying them with a team that didn't seem to have the same, blue chip type of talent, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they had like a lot of, as we said, Blutarski level seniors that were there 7 years, and they had the great Jim Larinaga coaching. But would you figure personnel-wise they were going to match up with Kansas, the Jayhawks, who have been at or near the top of college basketball for a long, long time? And then on top of that, this year, they were always among the best teams in terms of ranking and consideration. Kansas Jayhawks. So they're not playing well, and they're within 6 of Cinderella Miami. And then this guy McCormick, all of a sudden, he's a Big Mac with extra cheese, man. And then they threw another one in the bag for you, and you didn't even ask for it or have to pay for it, right? He woke up. I
Yes,
almost
that's
said
what it
something
looks
else.
like.
He woke up, this guy,
Yep.
and you're thinking, all right, I mean, they're going to dominate inside.
He did.
And they couldn't stop this kid, the Villanova
Because the guy
Wildcats.
was 6. What's so funny is the juxtaposition of the Duke Carolina game versus that game, where the Duke Carolina game had like 17 lead changes, and then the Villanova Kansas game didn't have any. Like
10
literally
zip when I finally
the
got
entire
downstairs
time.
to look at it. Yeah, it was 10 zip already. I was up 10 zip.
You were in a nice
Laying
spot.
4 in a hook. Yeah.
Villanova made a little bit of a run and got it down to 6, but that was like instantly went back up to 12. Like Kansas really controlled that entire game. It was pretty impressive.
10-0 run. I mean, even Jay Wright said it himself. He said it's tough in a situation like this to spot the other team 10 points before you wake up.
Yep.
And then you're shorthanded on top of that. Forget about it. As you said, they cut it to 6. There was a little bit of drama there because of the point spread. You're still thinking Kansas is going to hang on and win the ball game. Laying 4 in a hook became just a little bit prohibitive because, look, you're going to take a lot of tough beats in life. And the toughest would have been if I allowed our experts, who I have great respect for,
Yeah,
know far more about college basketball than I do, watch a lot more college basketball than I do. But on the show Friday, you saw me wrestling with this. I mean, do I go with my own opinion, Mr. Contrarian, and bet on a team that I just think is flat out better anyway, or get talked into the wise guy pick, which was, and the Sharpies were all over Villanova. Everybody was on Villanova. Every piece of analysis that I read was Villanova. And then our own guy is a professor who, like I said, I couldn't have any more respect for his opinion on college basketball than I do. The guy is dynamite. He really knows his stuff.
Yep.
College football, too, or whatever he bets on. But a good thing about the professor is he concentrates on 2 areas, and it makes it a lot easier to be an expert than if you're like me and you want to bet on everything.
Yes, he owns
All right. I'm still. I didn't throw it down yet, but I'm going to have to get in on some offshore account. I don't know. I'm not signed up for any of this stuff. They have people everywhere trying to sign you up for apps in Atlantic City, New Jersey. You walk into a bar and there's a guy from the MGM Grand. You walk down the street. There's it used to be somebody playing like the violin with a guy sitting next to him with a tambourine, and then there was a guy that they like paint themselves in like what is that, gold and silver? What is that? That's not lame. What is that paint? When they got the body paint on.
It's like glittery, like the FSU guys do. I don't know. I don't know what the hell that's called.
Now, does every city have one of these kind of guys that is just a human Gumby? And you know how they do that? They get into some impossible position. You see this on the streets of Las Vegas a lot, like circus people.
Yep.
And then they hold it for like an hour while people are walking by. And you're thinking, that can't be real, right? No, it's a real guy. Are you kidding me? You can't see him breathe. They don't move. I mean, and the guy's balancing himself on his finger while laying parallel to the ground. And the only thing he's got contact to the ground is his finger, and he's perfectly still, as if he was some Japanese champion on the still rings, trying to hold a pose. Only instead of for like a couple of seconds in the Olympic Games, and everybody goes nuts. This guy's doing it for an hour in the streets. Dogs are peeing on him. People are kicking him. Bums are taking the money out of the tip jar. And he never moves, never flinches. Just absolutely incredible. But anyway, in spite of what could have been a nervous moment there, I stuck to my guns. I wrestled with it. I said, look, I love you, Professor. Mark Lawrence, you're a genius.
Blake, Coach Spinelli, who we had on Blue.
Chadwick, yeah. I mean,
everyone said Villanova like they did. Even I was like, dang, I guess Villanova, because I was thinking Kansas as well. And they all said Villanova. And they were very confident about it, like, and had really good logic behind it.
Well, I get bludgeoned in the horse book, and so I made kind of a wimpy bet, and I parlayed, as I said, Kansas and North Carolina. Nice. Laying 4 and a hook, getting 4 and a hook, and I did consider making the bet. You can't really say this, can you? If you didn't do it, you're a wimp.
Who gives a shit?
you're a wuss, right? Who cares? I considered it.
Well, you didn't.
Right? Why didn't you consider the fact that you're a loser your entire life, Deforrest? Why didn't you consider that? The other voice was yelling in my ear.
They're both yelling.
Or inside my head. Yeah. All you degenerates out there, are you starting to hear voices? I mean,
haven't you always?
I'm a loser. All right, so I was right about this one, though.
You nailed it.
And I couldn't have felt any better about it. I really couldn't. I mean, I mentioned this guy. Is it Bob Reisman? I think it's Bob Reisman is the guy's name that writes in the Daily News. And the story behind that is they have a little shop in Harris. I really love Harris in Atlantic City. I've fallen in love with the place. And not the least reason of which was the Mustang sticks her player's card in the machine. Now, we just get there, right? I gave her like the usual nickel allotment, right? Figured, okay, can you nurse this for like at least a day? I mean, that's a lot of money, right? $500 just blowing slot machines. I don't care if you won 11,000 last time. That was last time. We're here now.
Yep, start
scratching. Right? Every day is a new day in gambling. The sun rises every day, and guess what, people? Proclaiming a new day in gambling. That's what it is. Just like it's a new day of life, right? You could change today, Lubie, everything about your life if you wanted to. We have this opportunity here, in spite of what people think about Joe Biden. This Hunter Biden is a piece of work. Is he not? How is he not guilty of something? Huh?
He's guilty of a lot of things. I've never defended him. And whatever Biden did off of him, I mean, whatever.
Joe would show up, play a little golf area. Yeah, I'm just going to play a couple of holes. Yeah, pleasure to meet you, Mr. Ambassador to the Ukraine.
Yeah, whatever. No one's squeaky clean. I've never said that.
Well, my father said this to me, and he's absolutely right. The Deforrest family, we never get away with anything.
Exactly.
Nothing. In fact, it's more likely we would be like not falsely accused, but just in a jackpot over nothing. That for any other person would not even be even the slightest bit of concern for anybody, whether you were in law enforcement, prosecutor's office, well, whatever. I mean, but we get away with nothing, and it's true. There's nothing I've ever gotten away with in my life that, I mean, not that I'm attempting to pull off some kind of a farce, but you could say that making a living this way is a bit of a comical way to go about it, right? For the average guy that's going, I'm thinking, geez, I got to get up in the morning and do this thing, peel myself off the mat. And then I think about the poor schlep, that has to go to a real job. And, it's been a good run, even though it's going to take us all the way to the wire here. And I'll probably be broadcasting from the grave. Weren't we going to do a segment called From the Grave at one point and actually try to attempt to interview people that were actually dead? What happened with that idea? I died like a lot of these. All right, let me go through my list here. So this Bob Reisman, I'm reading the Daily News because I got downstairs to buy a copy of the Post, and in this little shop, they're very nice there. I mean, the people couldn't be any nicer. And I see 3 copies of the New York Post sitting behind the counter and none on the rack. So I asked the clerk there, very lovely young lady who's always trying to get you to, find some way to get whatever it is you're buying for free, which is great. hey, do you have a player's card? Well, let me see. Let me check your points, right? She's ready to go. I mean, they're just ready to like hand you anything over there. So I see these 3 copies of the New York Post. I said, is that today's New York Post? There's none on the rack. She goes, oh, those are reserved. I'm like, reserved? She goes, yeah, you could call down and reserve the New York Post. So I'm stuck with the Daily News, which had no racing in it whatsoever. A surprise, because this used to be a real degenerate publication. No gambling stuff of any kind. Did they get shut out? Did they miss the boat? I don't even know if I saw a gambling ad in the New York Daily News.
This day and age, that's weird. Especially
All right, but still a decent sports section, and the feature writer there is, of course, Mike Lupica.
Yeah, I still like him. He's great.
And Lupica's got a tidbits column, and oh no, Reisman. Reisman is the critic, the media critic, and Lupica is in the Daily News also, and does one of those tidbits columns on Sunday, which was very, very good. Had a lot of things that he illustrated that you wouldn't have thought of. That if you're doing this kind of sports coverage, you're saying thank you, Michael, for making those allusions, so that I can steal the material and use it myself. No, I don't want to do that. Reisman, this will shock you. Are you holding on to something, Lubie?
Yeah, the table. I got
His
the
suggestion was that the world is being deprived with all of the money that's being doled out for announcers to go do Monday Night Football with Buck and Aikman and all the Al Michaels going to some streaming service, and he's going to make $20 million with Herb Street, who never called more than a handful of pro games, and all of a sudden is the universal expert on all things football. Not a bad guy in terms of the way he communicates stuff. I don't know. Herb Street, what do you think? I mean, good, fine, right?
Yeah, he's not great
Does all
enough.
right.
He's fine.
He's not LD Regattas to me. I mean, some John Madden. He's hardly any of that. Very straight-laced.
Yes.
Do you really want like a straight-laced explanation of football, or do you not want a little infusion of, as we say, I mean, as John Feinstein pointed out, some color in your analysis?
Yes.
You don't need somebody to tell you that that's a Tampa 2 or whatever it is, because you don't know what it is anyway. It's just some Gruden-esque terminology, right? What is the Tampa 2? Does anybody know?
I mean, people
You got
do.
2 guys deep. I mean, what is that? Do we need to see that explained? Yeah, they got 2 guys deep. That would work just as well, wouldn't it?
Honestly.
So you want somebody that has a little bit of color. But he suggests that Gus Johnson, screaming Gus Johnson, is an essential and should be part of the CBS package on the college basketball finale tonight. That the world is missing Gus Johnson. And he says, get this, Lubie, that, I mean, I almost fell off the toilet seat. I was ready to fire this Daily News against the wall. It didn't aggravate me that much. Plus, I was occupied. And it is true. I found this to be true, because it definitely was much more of a struggle for me to get through my early morning bodily functions with the Daily News as opposed to my regular New York Post, which is like a laxative to me. It's just unbelievable.
Oh, graphic.
As soon as I get it, out of the doorstep there, boom, right on the toilet seat, where I can dissect and once again, I kind of digest what's going on in the sporting world. Gus Johnson sucks. I mean, I don't. He used to ruin every boxing match that he ever called. You remember that? It would drive me nuts, Mister Super critical of all boxing announcers.
Ken
I've
and I
given
were
up on that.
Professor and I were talking about this last week about how they're moving up a guy that I'd never heard of him, Kevin Burkhardt. So we figured, why not Gus Johnson? And then I started going back and forth with him about the merits of Gus Johnson and how you're not a fan and he's in the middle, and I lean more. I can deal with him, except for the fact that you guys have now pointed out how much he yells. So it's hard for me to get over that.
Oh my God, he was an atrocity on boxing, right?
I know.
It would be round 1. They barely even have touched gloves. And Gus is like, Smith, Jones, Smith, Jones. Really? Do we need a guy to do that? I mean, is it necessary to pay somebody to sit there and just name the 2 fighters over and over again in a fever pitch? Unbelievable. I don't know. Maybe he's better on basketball than I'm giving him credit for. Seems like he must be a decent guy, right? Obviously, he's had great success. I don't think he's sitting in his underwear right now doing a podcast, but he might be. He might want to be, right?
He's doing fine.
But I don't know. That one I took exception with, right?
I'm sure.
It was just who needs Gus Johnson? We don't. Gus, Have a nice life. I mean, it's okay. Look, I don't begrudge anybody having work. That we all want it. We're all in this business together, Mike Lubie Lubitz.
I
All right,
am.
what else? I had a bunch of stuff. The Dolphins traded your man, Devontae Parker.
It did.
People are calling that. I mean, are they starting to make like intelligent decisions?
It did.
What's going on with this team?
That's what it
Who's
feels
running the
like.
show there now? Chris Grier. I mean, you haven't even heard a peep from this guy. Nothing.
They're all giving-
Leon Rose with the Knicks is more upfront and present. He's just everywhere at this point, right? Compared to Chris Grier, who has disappeared. I'm surprised there isn't an all-points bulletin out on Chris Grier, the general manager of the Miami Dolphins, who have made more moves in the offseason than virtually anybody. I mean, dynamic moves.
Really good moves.
Right?
Yep.
Where is this man? Has he been
People are-
quoted anywhere?
They're giving him. I've seen him quoted recently. He finally talked to someone somewhere, and there were some quotes, but it was like, I don't know, like it's like they're running to give him credit. And I'm like, dude, he never would have made any of these moves before. Why magically now did he figure it out? I'm sorry. I'm giving McDaniel all the credit because he's the only thing that's changed, and all of their offensive moves have totally changed. They've transformed. Every move, even the Parker move.
All of their moves, period, have changed. They seem to reek of some kind of pattern of being well thought out, and maybe even a little bit of front office ingenuity and intellect.
Exactly.
Where's that coming from?
I'm sorry. Screams McDaniel. He's the only one from Yale.
You think his first proposition when he sat down with old Stevie Boy was to say, "Hey, listen, Steve, man, this Grier, if he says one word to me, I'm out of here."
He can save. Just
And I will vouch for the fact that you offered me money also to lose games.
Exactly. I just lie.
Where is this coming from? It's just amazing. All right. Many other things. Did you feel that little tremor just now, Mike Lubie
Yes.
Lubitz? Did everybody around the country feel that?
I got it.
That is our contemporary here, the gambling gourmet, Mike Mayo, twitching. And it's registering on the seismograph. It really is. I mean, there are reports from the San Andreas Fault that even that is on, a very shaky turf right now.
Well, it shows he doesn't have confidence. The fact that he wanted to make sure Friday that we had the regulations and the standards of the bet understood.
He started to reestablish the rules of a bet.
If he assumed he was going to win.
First sign of Wimpton. Yeah, first sign of Wimpton.
He would not have worried about that. But the fact he was like, look, it's just this, and this is this. It was like, I didn't fight him because I think we're going to win. So I don't give a shit who's involved in the bet. Like, I assume we're going to win. And what they did this weekend was so impressive.
I'm not even bringing my wallet, anywhere anymore. I figured Mayo's going to be paying for everything. Mike Mayo, if you're not familiar with this bet that we have on our Degenerate Friday shows, he does not believe that the Florida Panthers, leaders of the conference, and the first team to clinch a playoff spot as of last night in the NHL. How many more games do they have? What do they play, like 1,000 games? It's April 3rd, 4th. What is it? April 4th already.
It is a 4th, yes.
It's faux. It's Moses Malone time.
Yep.
Faux 2022. And how much longer? That's the first team to clinch a playoff spot? Like when 80 teams make the playoffs in the 30-team league? How many teams they have now? 31? Do they have an odd number of teams in the NHL because of the Kraken coming on board?
Good question.
I want to say yes to that, Mike Lubitz.
Yeah, I think they're one off. Yep.
These used to be essential parameters that anybody that was doing this for a living would have to know, right? Hey, you don't even know how many teams there are in the league. Who knows anymore, right? I don't know. I'd leave it to Gary Bettman to have like an odd number of teams. And is there talk of expanding to even that out? If that is the case, I don't know. I would think not.
It might be even now. I think what it is it wasn't even, and the Kraken just made it even. Because I'm looking at it now. There's 6 and then 10, 6 and then 10.
All right, I could buy that. So they needed another team, Lubie. Like I said, these people are as practical in their thinking, yes, and sound as you could possibly be.
There you go.
If they were running the government, the people, the board of governors of the NHL here in the United States of America. Well, where are they based anyway? Because they have a couple of Fugazi teams in Canada.
It's probably New York.
Are they based in Canada? Gary Bettman? No, he's in New York.
I think it's New York.
Have to be.
They're in New York. Yeah, Bettman's a New York guy, I think.
That's where all the big business is being done. Mike Lubie Lubitz. All right. So anyway, the bet is that the Panthers, who are leading everything, first team to clinch, and then came back from the grave to beat the New Jersey Devils on Saturday in a Thrilla in Manila type of fashion. And then they come right back the next night and shellac. I forgot who they played last night, but nonetheless, Buffalo, the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah. Yesterday afternoon, it was like a 12th.
Yeah. So I mean, Mayo thinks they won't win a playoff series. Which look, anything is
You
possible.
never know.
Well, we, by all rights, Lubie, and I don't mean to suggest this because you know he's going to call me right away and say, yeah, I'll take you up on that, Tifo. And that is that we should really be offering odds on this.
Nope.
That like if he loses, he only has to buy his own dinner, and we all go, and we pay for ourselves. But then what would be the purpose of that? And then we scared the living daylights out of this kid when we suggested we were inviting 20 people to the dinner. Which it's not cheap. Yeah, it's worth it, but it's not cheap. So I mean, compared to that Skyline chili tab that I had to pick up, I mean that was a joke. I got change back from a stick, and I'm out of the bet. Are you kidding me?
Good.
I would take that almost every time. I was happy to be only down like a buck and change yesterday. After getting bludgeoned on Saturday, I considered that a win.
Honestly.
So that was great. All right, so I mean, it just it's crazy that this kid thinks that they're not going to win a play. I don't think he really believes that. I think he's just being an agitator,
I don't know.
and maybe he's just such a good guy he doesn't mind picking up that tab, huh? From Anthony's Runway 84, a very fine restaurant here in South Florida, one of the long established restaurants, been around forever. And great, people love it, right? The Italian food served in a family style type of thing. And they're slapping food on the table. Yeah, here you go, Johnny. These are on the house. It's great. Absolutely a great place. But I can't conceive of it. If that team didn't win a playoff series this year, I mean, I don't know. I should have upped my ante in the bet to never mind buying dinner. I will just walk right off the Dania Pier with cement shoes on. Speaking of that guy, Vinny and the Borgata. Yeah, we might be able to arrange something. Okay. It's like
I'm sure.
it's just a joke. Let's not get carried away.
Yep.
You have to be careful what you say to people anymore, right? You can't talk to people like you used to, Libby.
I'm
You say hello
aware.
to somebody, all of a sudden they pull a gun on you. It's just, it's absolutely insane what's going on. All right, so we have the championship game tonight. We'll get into that. Tony Segreto is going to join us right around 8 o'clock today. And Tony usually with us on Wednesday for a little old school, but I'm sure he was all over this tournament. And it was great, North Carolina. That North Carolina Duke game, I was watching it while I was engaged in a table game. A stupid table game also, but I kind of like it, called Let It Ride. Have you played Let It Ride in any casino?
Heard you talked about it for years.
I mean, you're in there with a shot. You could nurse $100 for a while, which, I mean, it's no big deal. You're buying into a table game for $100. They laugh at you when they take your player's card. Is that it, Mr. Deforrest? Did you need a marker or something? Which I started to say also, they can't do enough for the Mustang. She sticks her player's card in the machine. We're not even at 10 seconds, right? She's sitting down at a machine. She sticks her player's card in. And we haven't even gotten a room yet. We're still deciding. We got like bags there, carrying. Like we were pushing a shopping cart around Atlantic City with a bunch of stuff in there that was going to keep us warm on those cold nights in the middle of winter. And a guy comes running over, and his name was also Jeff, a very pleasant young man. And he says, "Hey, Sally Deforrest." I'm like, "What the hell is this, man?" And he her new host, and he couldn't do enough for her, and so he immediately says, "Hey, why don't you guys have dinner? Why don't you guys have dinner at the Gordon Ramsay steak place on me?"
She gets a host for playing.
A host? You want a limo ride? I'm like, who you? The Iron Sheik could walk in there, and he wouldn't get this kind of treatment.
It's not some
In full
Asian
costume.
whale.
Talk about royalty.
What the hell? What is she losing? I don't think you're keeping good tabs on the amount of money she's really putting in.
I don't think Jimmy the Greek was disrespected as a gambler when he was in the heyday, when everybody thought, "Wow, who is this character, Jimmy the Greek?" And does he have the kind of stuff behind him of which legends are made? Like some, legendary score that he pulled out of his ass at the last second. He was going to have his house foreclosed on or whatever, and he needed $120,000 by tomorrow. So he goes to the track, that kind of story. And somehow comes up a winner. I have a few of those. Never happened to me, but a certain friend of mine was about to have everything cave in on him. And all of a sudden he hits a daily double in Aqueduct for 15 times and gets out of like criminal, financial, drug-related activity. It was just incredible, right? And after collecting $15,400, he ended up with a deuce, and he said, "Let's go have dinner." We go out to the parking lot to get in his car, and it had been repossessed while he
Yeah,
was at the track.
exactly.
My kind of guy.
All right.
All right, so I mean, Coach K goes down. How do you feel about that, Louis? I know you're happy about it. I mean, and there was a lot of sadness though. People don't feel universally. I mean, is it a love-hate thing with Duke, or is it that the majority of people want to see them lose every game, and then the other handful are so extremely loyal that and they kind of almost compensate. So it seems like there's a balance there of 50-50. What do you think was? Because everybody was saying the same thing. Wow, wouldn't this be the greatest story if Coach K went out a winner?
No, no.
I'm thinking, no,
People-
you see my ticket here? I had Kansas laying 4.5. I need North Carolina, man. And if I had any balls, I would have put them on the money line in the second half.
People have fooled themselves into believing, and I love Leslie Visser, and this is probably right when she tunes in, but people have fooled themselves into believing that he's clean. And being around this stuff long enough, both of us have now realized no one's clean.
It would seem impossible.
No one's clean. Like it
Yeah.
just it is what it is. Like John Wooden had books written about how he wasn't clean. If John Wooden wasn't clean, then and that was in a day where you might have been able to be clean and succeed. In this day and age where all the money is everywhere, there's no way you're clean. You're just not. And to be that naive is dumb. So the dude and Coach K did have this air of, well, of course I'm clean. So not only he's not clean, he's now being sort of obnoxious about it. And that's why we give Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban so much shit, because do what you want, whatever, win. But don't get mad at us that we're calling you out for your winning. Like, come on, guys.
No, but we've talked about it many, many times. I don't know if Tony Segreto would agree, but I mean, it seems fairly obvious that certain programs get a free pass, period.
Yep.
On whatever NCAA regulations are still applicable. But certainly the NCAA had a big influence with the threat alone of investigation, right? All of a sudden, no recruits want to come there. Nobody wants to coach there anymore, right? They know. And look at the University of Miami and their struggles, which they thought were very unfair, although in all likelihood, probably well-deserved that kind of scrutiny. No? What the hell was going on here? It wasn't like we were, exactly keeping kosher with the University of Miami over the years. Can you imagine, right? I mean, Warren Sapp, how did he stay eligible?
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, maybe he did very well academically. That's possible. But how what they have? All of those, phony tests or whatever he took, like hidden in a drawer there. And they found him and they still did nothing about it. But always under scrutiny, the University of Miami. And, there was a big outrage about that because, remember, it became us against the world and criminals versus the Cardinals or whatever that thing was. Yeah.
It was Catholic versus convicts was a stupid ass.
Yeah.
Up with.
Obnoxious, too, right? I mean, if you didn't hate Notre Dame before that, you really hated him.
Yourself. Exactly.
You know who was, probably singularly responsible for any success the University of Miami football team had over the long haul? Vanilla Ice.
Oh, wow.
For wearing that hat in the Ice Ice Baby video, which if you think back, I mean, people are still stealing that riff, as corny as it was, and incorporating it into new hit songs. Did you watch the Grammys last night, Lubie? I had no interest.
No, I've never watched any of the awards. The only reason I paid attention was because of the Will Smith crap. I haven't cared about awards.
You were hoping like Kanye West came up there and punched out Taylor Swift, just pummeled her. I mean, continued to beat her into a submission that finally after and maybe was just enraged, uncontrollable rage that even like 5 or 6 security guys couldn't take him out. You could have put him in there with Marvin Hagler, and he would have won by knockout. Kanye West, as crazed and deranged as he might have been. All right, we have a lot to cover here. We didn't really get into much there. It was all over the planet, as we were. The trip turned out to be successful. The Mustang with another draw, although the $50,000 drawing thing was a little bit fugazi. It was legitimate in some senses, and actually, you had a better chance to come away a winner the way that they did it. But they were giving away free play to maybe 5 or 6 people every half hour. various denominations from $750 on up. So, like I said earlier, I mean, somebody hands you $750, says, "Here, go play the slots." Once you churn through it one time, you can keep whatever's there. You know, if you won, you lost, whatever, it's yours. You would say, "Hey, thank you," right? Would it inspire you to get up, schlep to Atlantic City for the weekend? But I mean, then you're greeted. I mean, as if literally. I mean, who would be this big of a gambler? Barkley? They don't want Barkley's action. He stiffed that one hotel forever. They had to sue him and embarrass him. And then all of a sudden, the people at TNT said, "Hey, listen, Charlie, we're in bed with these people too. Huh? What do you need us to do, right? You check here, but don't do it again.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
gamble again, it's over." Mickelson, right?
Yep.
That's who they should be looking for, right? And they're looking for the Mustang. Unbelievable.
I love
So,
that.
how about the woman that won 33 jackpots over the span of 3 months and was losing her ass?
Yeah, I don't get that. How much are you playing?
You got me, Lubie. All right, so the game is tonight. What are you thinking? 4 and a hook, Kansas. Who's better? Kansas, North
Kansas.
Carolina. North Carolina now, I believe, has won 17 out of 20. 2 of which were over Duke in situations where all of the sentiment, all of the emotion, everybody's interest, what was in seeing the Duke side of the story. Nobody cared about North Carolina, right? They could have brought back Michael Jordan in his prime to play college ball, play out his last couple of years of eligibility, and they still would have had no interest in anything except the coronation of Coach K. And what could be better, right? If Brady had won back-to-back Super Bowls, you think he's still playing? I guess as long as Arians was out
Probably,
there.
yeah. It feels like he is, yeah. He just wants to play.
George
Yes.
Blanda's dead, right? Yeah, he checked out a long time ago. Blanda.
Yes.
He has to be rolling his eyes in his grave, doesn't he? I mean, just saying, "Really, Brady? You got to come back, huh?"
This guy.
Kind of clown. All right, much to discuss with Tony Segreto. Hialeah Park. Wow, you talk about a great place. Now, I like the Borgata Racebook. It's a little bit busy there. It's not as well run, believe it or not, as the Champion Simulcasting Room at Hialeah Park, and it's obviously not as well appointed. I mean, it's a nice place. You can go in there, you can relax. A little stingy with the free drinks now, Lubie. I don't know. You wouldn't have been happy about this development.
That sucks.
Used to go up there and bet like a 10-cent super, and they would hand you 50 drink tickets. You'd go to the bar and be buying. Hey, yeah, round for everybody. You give the guy, $5-10, depending on how many drinks he made, and that was that. Or maybe even you go Jimmy Conway on that one and shove a 20 in the guy's pocket. Do you ever make this move, Lubie? You're going to be sitting at a bar all day in some kind of gamble. Well, you're not a gambler, but maybe you're going to be in a sports book. All right, that would be your thing, and watching the games, even if you didn't have a bet on them. Do you pop a 20 in the bartender's pocket right away and say, "Johnny, that's for you"?
Smart move. That's like
Right?
if you're smart, that's what you do.
Now, is it going to be worth it in the long run? Or are you going to get a better pour? Maybe, unless, I don't know, casinos that have cameras, that zero in and go, hey, listen, Arnie, one more shot like that, and you're out of here. Right? That they're, over pouring drinks. No, they don't care. They want the people to be happy. They want you drunk as crap. They want you to be like Leonard Toews, the former owner of the Philadelphia Eagles, who sued the Atlantic City casinos, the very same Atlantic City casinos, for getting him drunk and costing him like $2 million when he was broke at the end of his life.
Biggest bunch of bull ever. It's not their fault. They're going.
He lost. Yeah, he lost. What are they supposed to do, right?
Yeah, it's their job.
Sober you up? They could just take the money out of your pockets anyway, right? It'd be the same thing. I don't know. You're in there with a shot to win. But Hialeah Park Casino, I mean, you don't have any of this fun and games going on. They're not bringing in a cooler at the end of the deal like they do in a lot of casinos. No, they want you to have a good time. They want you to party. It's a beautiful casino. Absolutely tremendous. I mean, the simulcasting room, you have the big races coming up. Make your plans for the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness and the Belmont Stakes, Triple Crown races later on. Toga. All the great tracks simulcast there. And they really, Lubie, what business were they in? The horse racing business. They know how to take care of the horse racing fan. So You're going to love that room. Poker room is great. I mean, people complain about anything. I think the poker room is really beautiful. I'm not a poker player, so I wouldn't be able to judge if they were, running this particular room any better than anywhere else. But you can kind of tell by the, the flavor you get from the patrons as they're leaving or circulating around, right? Like you can sense when there's a good vibe in a place.
Yeah.
And I get on a jitney bus to go back to Harris after punching away in a race book at the Borgata, and this guy looks at me. I mean, like he looked like he had just lost like money that he didn't have, like that he had borrowed at what is that, Amscott or whatever? What's that place?
Yeah. Check cashing. Yep.
No credit check, nothing. You don't even have to have an address. And you walk in there and I'll hand you $1,000. What do you think the juice is on that?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, he looks at me and goes, poker room sucks here. And I'm like,
don't play.
I don't know. It's pretty impressive to me. So people are always going to find a way to fetch about any kind of gambling thing, but you never hear that about Hialeah Park. Just absolutely amazing. The people come out of there, and there's a lot of class and dignity going on there in Hialeah Park because they're steeped in this kind of tradition. They know what they're doing when it comes to gaming and gambling and cards, horses and simulcasting and now slot machines and casino games that you would find in Las Vegas. You'll love it. Check it out for yourself. All kinds of freebies. Get a player's card when you come through the door. Gives you all kinds of entitlements, and really, really a great job done by their marketing promotional people, always at beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, coming back with more. We've been jabbering for a while. We really haven't established anything on the show, have we, Libby?
No, we did our job.
I went to Atlantic City, got a freebie dinner at Gordon Ramsay Steak. Would you have gone to Gordon Ramsay Steak or Cafe Madorano Atlantic City variety? Cafe Madorano of the same Steve Madorano on Oakland Park Boulevard here in Fort Lauderdale. Classic joint. I mean, one time, I guess it's still, is it as popular as ever? Cafe Madorano?
It's still popular, but I mean, the Gordon Ramsay one, I would feel like it's something that's exclusive to Jersey, so I'd want to try that, see what that's all about.
Oh, no, far from exclusive to Jersey. I mean, they have a Gordon Ramsay steak in Las Vegas. Now, I had eaten at that place. Speaking of Jersey Kyle had said, hey, let's go get something to eat, and somehow we end up at Gordon Ramsay Steak at the Paris Hotel between Paris and Bally's in Las Vegas. And I don't think he meant to pick up that tab. I really don't. But he did.
Nice.
Very noble. He said, I said, let's get something to eat. So, he grabbed a check. And, that was a pretty good stab in the back. I mean, it really was. It was just like, I felt like I got knifed right in the back. Some trainer, Benny Giorgino, one of my favorites, said that to me after I asked him about a very bad decision that went against one of his fighters. And I said, how did you feel after that? And he said, I felt I got knifed right in the back. And, that's what it was when Kyle got that check. But I do remember the food was great. So we went for the Gordon Ramsay thing because everybody says that the Madorano restaurants that are at the casinos, and this may have been true when they were at the Hard Rock. I know they have one in Las Vegas also in that same area as the Gordon Ramsay steak. And, that it's not the same as the one here. Is that, you find that to be true?
I wouldn't doubt it.
Not about that particular place, but what do you think?
I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, I mean, I would believe that. The Gordon Ramsay thing, I feel like would be a lot more looked at.
I didn't hear any screaming coming out of the kitchen, though. I was very disappointed in the whole experience.
Probably wasn't there.
You can't serve this, right? You want to hear like frying pans flying around, like guys being hit in the face with hot grease. Just total chaos in the kitchen. No, it was a very nice experience there, and we thank our new host Jeffrey for acknowledging the Mustang's excessive. Would it be excessive? All of a sudden, I mean, literally, she snaps her fingers, and like all of a sudden, they're doing her nails, her hair at the slot machine. It's great. All right, we're coming back with more. So anyway, I got out alive, Louie. That was a good thing. And Tony Segreto is going to join us here in just a few minutes. Hialeah Park, great place to go. Also, we always like to acknowledge Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill and the fine people behind Tony Segreto's Old School Hour, which include Texas Roadhouse Restaurants and the great people at Catholic Health Services. He is Mike Lubitz. It's a Peel Yourself Off the Mat Monday here on the Defo Show. I'm Jeff Deforrest, and so that was good. I defied all the experts.
You did.
Even our own experts. I just went against them. I said, you know what? I'm going to go with my, rather ample gut and say Kansas is going to win this thing. Bill Self will not be throwing his hairpiece at Coach K, although that scenario was very much alive. And as I was kind of watching the game out of the corner of my eye, it's weird when you're gambling in two completely different genres, where you're playing a card game here, a stupid card game, where it's definitely devised so that the house will grind you down. If not quickly, they will annihilate you in the end. Annihilate you, no matter how well you're doing early in the game, right?
Yep.
I mean, you have to know when to fold them. I guess would be the story there. But while you're doing that and hoping to get like a straight flush or something with 3 cards, over here you're going as North Carolina is sinking another 3. And they had the monitors there, so that was great. And that was a good little parlay there. Kansas and North Carolina. And were we the only ones? Where was Segreto with Villanova? He loves Jay Wright, I would imagine. And that whole Philadelphia tradition, the Big Five. Which can you name the Big Five? Philadelphia colleges, huh? Temple, Villanova,
St. Joe's. Isn't St. Joe's one of them?
Could be, yeah. Holy Cross.
I don't know.
Holy Cross. Do they get in there? The Holy Cross team.
Villanova, I guess.
Does Holy Cross still play basketball? I don't even know. Sounds like something Marty Glickman would be, calling. Okay, we got Holy Cross and NYU today. Going to be a beauty. Gus Johnson. Screaming Gus Johnson. This is what we need, Bob Reisman. How could you ever respect another thing that this guy wrote? What do you think?
I don't mind Gus Johnson like you do. I can see him taking over for Fox because I don't know who Kevin Burkhardt is. He doesn't work for CBS. I don't know why the guy would assume that he would be doing CBS games.
Because now you can work for any network, which is a good thing. I mean, yeah. You think Leslie Visser would have only been on ABC or CBS when she had exclusive contracts? She would have been on everything, right?
Yep.
Back in the day? Wow, what kind of money could you make today if you were like Leslie Visser walking out there? She's making money, right? All right, we're coming back. Speaking of money, this guy's money in the bank. Tony Segreto, man. Long time sportscaster here. Mostly South Florida, would be his base, but internationally acclaimed for his work with the George. Is it George Michael?
George
Michaels.
George Michael.
Do you find, see, you're not old enough to be in this category yet, where you can't remember if it's Keith Richard or Keith Richards.
Richards.
That plays guitar for the Rolling Stones.
Keith Richards, George Michael.
Yeah, I mean, so it was the George Michael sports machine.
Yes, George Michaels was the guy who.
That was the singer guy, yeah.
Went on to be his own force. Yes.
Nobody could figure out exactly where that guy was coming from. Would you say that's a fair statement?
Good idea.
I mean, he was a little eccentric, wasn't
Very flamboyant, yes, and he was a wonderful.
Did he get a Grammy last night? How many did Taylor Swift take down?
I don't know.
What'd you get? Like album of the year, performer of the year? It's every year. It's the same thing. Here's 11 Grammys. Taylor Swift. Way to go. Meanwhile, our man Christian McBride, who is one of the most talented musicians you'll see anywhere, he's got his share of Grammys. But I mean, it's an embarrassment, right? That Justin Bieber has like 20 more Grammys than this cat. Unreal.
It's a whole different thing.
All right. Is that just me being an old codger, right? Why don't I break out my Led Zeppelin 1 album and listen to it again?
I was going to say.
Whole lot of love. That was Led Zeppelin 2, I believe. Whole lot of love. All right, we have a whole lot of love for Tony Segreto. He's coming up next here on the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz with you, Ion Channel, Jack Namer's fine organization. And here I am, Jack. I'm here, babe. I love you. And he thought surely I was going to retire. He was asking me where we wanted to, where I wanted to go for dinner to celebrate my retirement. I'm like, does that mean I have to pick up the tab? Mayo's a dead man. You know this, Lubie. You see him starting to set new, parameters on this bet? Yep. Well, I'll pay for you and Lubie and your first drink only. Now, you're going to share a wedge salad. Like, share a wedge salad? Get out of here. I'll give you your wedge. All right. If he wins that bet, though, we look like fools, do we not?
Yep.
Then we are the biggest losers on the planet. If we lose this bet with the Panthers in the first round, they can't get knocked out in the first round, can they? Holy Jonathan Huberdeau. What are we talking about here?
I don't know. Ready to go.
Cat's got like 100 points. 100 points. Gretzky-esque type of numbers. Unbelievable. All right, back with Tony Segreto. We'll go old school with Tony Segreto. That's brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants, Catholic Health Services. I'm Jeff Deforrest. A little bit out there for coming back late last night from another successful trip to Atlantic City, New Jersey. I already can't wait to go back. Although I could live without the new circus that is the Fort Lauderdale Airport. Jam last night when we got back at like 11 o'clock. Jam to the rafters, the entire airport. Everybody like all stressed out. Flights canceled, delayed. That's the only two words you saw on any of the boards. Canceled, delayed. Canceled, delayed. That's Mike Lubitz, and we'll be back with Tony Segreto in a moment. Now that. The time! 8 o'clock. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time?
Well, once again, everybody, great to be with you here on Ion Channel, the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz, and a little juxtaposition. We did a player to be named later swap here to get Tony Segreto in on Monday to accommodate his busy work schedule and travel schedule, which good luck, Tony, by the way, in the travel. We can get into that. But and John Kajemi, normally with us on Mondays, will be with us Wednesday in Tony's usual spot. You look great, kid. What's going on? What are you hitting the road right after the show? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm doing my thing, just enjoying life and get outside early in the morning, and not this morning, but usually try to get out early in the morning and get a walk in, a little bit of one. But and I think, listen, a special thanks and shout out to Johnny Boy. He's a dear friend, and Carmela, his wife, this entire family, just a great family, and I thank him for switching with me, and sometimes these travel things come up, and yeah, I'm kind of Joey and I got to give Joey a call because he and I are traveling together, and hopefully we're not delayed and we can get to where we need to get to by the time we need to get there.
Oh, it was a circus, Tony. No,
yeah, no, I know.
I actually got fairly lucky, and one thing about the Atlantic City Airport, I mean, if you're ever flying to New Jersey, which I know. I mean, didn't you grow up Jersey? You're a Jersey guy, right?
Absolutely, Jersey boy here.
Fly right into Atlantic City, man. It's crazy. I mean, you pull up and you figure, where am I traveling to? The Twilight Zone? There's nobody here. Nobody. Not a soul. The TSA, they're like having a party. They offer you a glass of champagne. You want to take it on the plane? No problem.
And they also say to you, you want to take us on the plane? No problem.
It's crazy, and then most of the flights were canceled out of there. The only one that really took off was ours, of the departures in the late afternoon.
I will say I logged in a little early, and you are kind of bouncing off the walls this morning. I can
I feel great. I really do. There were so many things going on. I don't know if you can cover them even in an hour straight.
How many hamsters do you have rolling around on that head of yours? They seem to be, they're just boomeranging all over the place. You're going from this to that. I love it, actually.
We're destined for greatness. Well, I mean, I'm like a human tidbits column. I was saying earlier in the program, I used to like those tidbits newspaper columns, and I'm still a huge fan of any sports section that actually is still making an effort, which obviously they are in New York City.
Can I interrupt you for a second? I think your key word there is a sports section that puts in the effort. I don't I'm like you. I like to read the Post, or I like to read. I'm not terribly impressed with what I read here. I'll be honest with you.
There's no content. I mean, it's not the fault of the people that
There's
work in
no.
the department.
I mean, other than I love
Crazy. Yeah.
Dave Hyde. Dave Hyde and I are friends, and I love reading him. But other than him, I just can't think of anybody that like
Greg
compels
Cody's
me
been
to.
around forever. Miami Herald. Yeah, he's great.
I can't find anybody other than Dave that I feel compelled to read. But I can't believe now. I did not hear the full context of this. Mayo's walking this back.
We expanded it without his consideration also.
Oh, so you played a role in that.
Did we invite you to this dinner?
Yeah, you
of
did.
course we did.
You did.
Well, you're welcome to come, but it's going to be like I don't know. How does Anthony Bruno feel about separate checks? Like where everybody's check is separate. Like there's not one check that's for two people, except the one Mayo's picking up, which will be for 3 now instead of like the 15 or so that we had invited to this dinner.
I'm just shocked at Michael Mayo. He should not.
No, well, I mean, it was really unfair of us. In his defense,
you should not have that.
Because he started to say, he didn't mind if one guy came. Yeah. And then we invited everybody, and then he got nervous, and our good friend, Jim Sarney.
Yeah,
and he's a big fan of yours.
I love Jim.
Great
He's
guy.
Great.
Yeah. I wonder if he would have agreed with Bob Reisman that the tournament is not the same without Gus Johnson calling games. Hello.
No,
you won't comment on another guy because I normally wouldn't because I feel like a strong bond and admiration and appreciation for anybody that worked their way through this business, right? And got to do what they wanted to do, whatever level it was. Maybe it wasn't the highest of network levels like a Tony Segreto, but just doing what we've been doing is absolutely fantastic. So I have a great appreciation for that, and a guy that made it big like Gus Johnson, but. See, he used to ruin boxing for me. I'm hypersensitive to boxing announcers, having aspired to be one myself. And, I actually got to do it. And I don't know, I wasn't perfect at it. Like, I mean, you would hope to be. But nonetheless, I wasn't aborting these telecasts like some guys do, Gus Johnson being one of them. So that killed me. I mean, that tainted my opinion of this guy. He's probably a very nice guy. Do you know him, this guy, Gus?
No, I do not. I do not know Gus. But I wanted to tell you something. I logged in early, so I heard you. Is it George Michael? It's George Michael. It's very interesting, and I just want to share something with you. For those people who know what the George Michael sports machine was, and as Defo has said on a number of occasions, it was the precursor to ESPN. It really was. It was the quintessential Sunday night show. Plus, it was the only show who really had the guts to put on auto racing when auto racing was absolutely nothing. And people would sort of laugh at George, and George would say, listen, it's going to be a big deal. And it was. But the reason I'm bringing this up at this point is this past week, for different reasons, I had to reach out to a number of my colleagues from the machine. And I was telling Roseanne, my wife, I go, it's really remarkable the pedigree of young men and women that George had working for him and where they are now. Lindsay Zarniak is doing, Fox, and she's doing NFL sidelines. She's on the Olympics. Olympics podcasts. The producers, I swear, producers are at NBC. They're all over the country working for different networks. And it is truly remarkable, the group of young men and women he had working for him and doing work with him. So with all those people doing what they're doing, I even get more honored every day that I was part of that whole group. That it was a truly remarkable group of people.
Yeah, I mean, imagine. I can't even imagine being part of a long-running, successful show at any level, much less in the major leagues. No, it was a great forerunner, and the guy wasn't afraid. I think I remember a young Tony Segreto, and you would go, okay, bull riding.
Yeah,
and
I did it for 30
years, and it was great. Yeah, he did it in a very deadpan fashion.
Years. I did it for 30 years for him.
Wow.
30 years. Bull riding. Nice.
And it was remarkable. It was, I'd fly to Washington, and usually it was anywhere from 7 to, toward the end, it was like 7 to 12 times a year. So it was wonderful. It was just a great experience.
Oh, good stuff, Tony
Yeah.
Segreto, ladies and gentlemen. You know,
What'd
know,
you think of the what'd you
No.
think of what'd you think of the games on Saturday
I
and
love both
then
of them, of course.
yeah,
I
and
mean,
then last night's game, I thought again, very happy for South Carolina. What a dominant performance. And those women were they were fantastic. I love
where do you
watching
line
the
up
game.
on Gino? Are you a fan?
No.
And why is that?
He said it straight up.
I mean, obviously, I mean, why is Gino not seen as the women's version of Coach K? Because of his personality. I
That's
mean, he is a little abrasive,
I
and
think
he
he's
just
more
seems
than
to
a
be
little. I think he's
a little
more than
sure of himself. I mean,
I
but
think
I don't know. Do you have to be that way sometimes to be successful?
I think he's more than a little abrasive. I think I think the issue for me anyway is that he's abrasive to other coaches
Yeah.
that he's playing against, especially other
Oh, Pat
female
Summitt. He was a disgrace with Pat Summitt.
Yeah,
You're
Summitt.
right.
other female coaches
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
which is again allegedly, but there's enough smoke there where you believe that some of it is, if not all of it.
What
is
do you think?
true.
It might be some illegal recruiting going on at
No,
the
I don't
University
know
of
about
Connecticut?
that. I can't
Just because they
answer that.
fired their last 5 men's coaches over scandalous situations?
I can't address that. But just knowing what I know about how Gino treats other coaches that he plays against who are women, and how he allegedly speaks of them, and it's not something that no.
No, that wouldn't gel with Tony
I love
Segreto. I mean, come
the
on.
girls that play. I love the girls that play for him. I mean, some of the girls that play for him are just outstanding. They're outstanding
Great stars,
people.
yeah.
They're outstanding. Forget the fact that they're good players. They're outstanding young women and young people who have really done great things once they have left the program, as you hope all your athletes do. But I think that to see some of those some of the great stories that South Carolina had, and I'm excited to see what happens tonight. I'm not sure who I want to win. I think my lean is going toward North Carolina. I would love to see this new coach, this first-year coach, the way he believes in what he's doing, and the players and how they love him, and following a legend and being able to maintain that after a tough start of the year.
I think Williams is still actually coaching a team. I believe that.
It feels like
Hey,
Royce.
listen,
He's sitting too close to the bench. He's on every
No,
game.
he's not. No, I push back on that. I totally disagree. He is in the stands.
You know
He's
we're only
cheering
kidding,
his
Tony.
team.
I mean,
No,
he's
you're
having
not.
a good
You know
time.
you're
Well, what about his
stirring the
ties to
pot.
Kansas, though? I mean,
You're stirring the pot.
He
You're
made his
stirring
name with
the pot,
Kansas,
man.
Roy Williams. So where's his rooting interest tonight? Kansas and North Carolina. He left Kansas to go to his dream job, which would be to coach North Carolina. Did a great job there. No, I like Hubert Davis a lot. I mean, he paid his dues to get to this spot. I don't know that they had to Rooney rule him into it, but he nonetheless was in a position here where he easily could have been set up for failure. They started out slowly, didn't look good. People thought they were soft. And, all of a sudden they flipped a switch. And I think it's 17 out of 20 now that they've won. Every now and then they'll throw in a stinker, though, just like a lot of the horses that I bet.
Let me tell you what,
Yeah.
Kansas is really good. Kansas is
One of
really
McCormick is
good.
playing out of his mind right now. That guy's
and I think to be able to kind of hold that back is going to be difficult for North Carolina. I just hope. Listen, my son and I were chatting yesterday at length that
How many points is your bookie giving you? Are you getting like 7 with North Carolina?
15.
I mean,
15. My son and I were chatting that.
Can I sign up with the service? What do I
Rarely
have to
do. I'm just ignoring him, Lubie. I'm just totally
I
ignoring
can
him.
tell.
Last Monday when we did, or 2 Mondays ago when it was just you and
You
I, it was
love
a
to
lovely
peaceful.
conversation.
Oh, get out of here, man.
So anyway,
You need the agitation, Tony. You know
no, I
you need
don't.
it.
Great at
Yeah.
that.
but rarely, and Defo, you can speak to this. Rarely does a game that's so full of hype
Yeah.
does it live up to its hype. On Saturday night, Duke, North Carolina not only lived up to the hype, it exceeded
That was
the
great.
hype. It was
It was wonderful.
riveting,
I mean, to see
compelling
Coach
game.
K lose and that whole story go out the window. I could not have been happier, Tony Segreto.
I know.
I don't think I've ever been happier after a college basketball game in my life.
Good. I hope you celebrated well.
I did. No, I had a great time. I mean, I didn't bet a ton of money on this thing because I'm not a huge sports bettor. in general, and then I had also gotten clobbered that day in the race book. I mean, absolutely annihilated
How'd you
after
do
getting off
in
to
the
a good
Derby?
start. I didn't play the Florida Derby,
at all.
but in fact, I didn't even see it because it went off at like 6:30. So
Yeah.
I was already gargling with Visine, having watched and bet on over 100 races before we got to the 7th at Gulfstream. And then we had this freebie at Gordon Ramsay Steak that Mustang's new casino host couldn't wait to go ahead and lay on her.
How was that?
It was fine.
meal?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, casino restaurants. I would say the one that we were at in Las Vegas, which also was a freebie for me, so it's not like the beef would be with the prices, was better than the one that was at the Harry's in Atlantic City. But fine. I mean, you know what? On a casino comp, everything tastes great, doesn't it, Tony?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You were in the media. You know what it's like.
yeah,
You
if
could
it's
probably
free,
live for free forever.
If it what was our credo in the media? If it's free, it's for me.
If it's not catered, it's not journalism. We've always felt that way. So let's break out the food. Yeah.
I remember, the now infamous Thanksgiving Day game in Dallas. The Leon Lett game.
Yeah.
I remember it was on Thanksgiving, and I remember sitting in the press box, and me and Harvey Green having Thanksgiving dinner together. And I love Harvey.
Nice.
And I looked at him and I go, never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd ever be sitting with you in a
Be
press
more
box
likely,
having Thanksgiving dinner. But it was really good. I mean, they did a great job, and it made me think of that. You think of if it's catering,
it'd be more likely you would have been sitting with the Pilgrims having a Thanksgiving dinner than Harvey Green press box. Although that was a classic, and how impossible was it for the Dolphins to win that game? That was, speaking of old school. I am
telling you, man,
classic clunkers by a team, and it couldn't have been better than to have the Cowboys fail in miserable fashion on Thanksgiving Day.
Who would have ever? First of all, having play, for the Dolphins having to play on Thanksgiving Day was something new and different, and then to be playing in Dallas, and then on Thanksgiving Day in Dallas for it to snow, and then the roof not being closed. I mean, it was like a perfect storm. Who would have ever known that the way the script was going to play out the way it did? And people, you know what I love is watching people when a play like that happens, is watching people scatter on the sidelines trying to figure out what in the world happened. Right? Yeah. They're looking, they're pointing, they're throwing things out, and the officials are going, "Stop! We got to figure this out too." And everybody's already sort of kind of pleading their case as to what happened to tell the officials, right? But it was chaos, to say the least.
Well, and Shula had been screwed on any number of occasions in games that ended in a fluke situation, including the snowplow game, which I don't think he ever got over the snowplow game.
He never did. I will tell you that. First of all, the day started, just to kind of give you pull the curtain back a little bit. We're walking through the lobby as the players are getting on the bus, right? And it's this cold New England day, and the people, I'm not sure if it was Stu Weinstein or not, but whoever was in security at the time, one of the people in security.
It had to be Stu, man.
Yeah, well, it had to be Stu, but I think that there were other people involved in this.
I think they had a one-man security department. It was all Stu. Anything that happened,
coach aside and said, "Listen, the weather's so bad. You may have to stay. We may have to stay here tonight." Well, that just set Don off right away. It was like, "You got to be kidding me! I can't get back.
I got dinner at the steakhouse. Reservations at 8.
Get break film down. Do this whole thing. They had these guys. Shula was so disciplined, as you well know. He was. This has to happen. Everything was compartmentalized. This has to happen here at this time. This has to happen here at this time. So he's already, all right, whatever it is, it is. So I'm listening to this. I'm going, wow, this could be interesting. So I call home and I go, listen, we may be not coming home. And I remember that it was so cold that they had put out different types of things for the players to wear. And then when the snowplow came out and that whole issue, it was, to your point, he never ever got over that. He never got over
the heart. Yeah.
He was just, it was, how can you get
imagine seeing this though? I mean, you're Don Shula.
The way the whole thing played out.
The guy's got a John Deere tractor out there on the field to clear a path for the kicker because everybody else is falling on their face.
Off just the area where the kicker's going to kick it.
How great is that?
It was just, You could not,
And he
have
makes it on
written.
top of that. You know, I
No,
mean, it would have all
it's what
gone awry
it's
if
what
he hadn't.
movies are made of.
Yeah.
It's it's that whole deal. It was incredible. And then the flight back and how everybody was all pissed and upset and angry and rightfully so. I mean, it was
And it was the Patriots on top of that. I mean,
Oh
this wasn't like
yeah.
you were
It wasn't
playing.
like the Browns,
Yeah. I mean,
or even anybody else but the Patriots.
yeah.
Anybody
So
else.
I mean, it was great. A hated rival, and then they cheat to
I
get
will
the
never
win.
forget that day. I
No,
will
that was
never
tremendous.
forget. I will
Yeah,
never,
that was great.
I mean, those are to be to think back, and I never do this, but this morning is starting to hit me. To kind of reflect on being involved in two of the many historic games that Miami has played. It was really pretty cool, when you think back at those events.
Tony, you were there when Joe Auer ran back that opening
Yeah.
kickoff. What are you talking about, man?
I was running on the sideline with Danny Thomas and his
Yeah.
cigar in his mouth.
You were there in the beginning.
Yeah,
When
exactly.
football was played by men playing a child's game. Yeah.
Lordy D,
And
Lordy
money
D.
didn't matter. Tony Segreto with us. We're old school with Tony Segreto. Tony, always an advocate. And I saw a very nice thing. Where was it? It was on Mike Mayo's Facebook page, Let's Eat South Florida, that he does with the Sun Sentinel. And they got like
He does
70.
a great, we joke about Mike,
Yeah.
but he does a great job with that.
Oh, no.
really does.
He is like, he's dead serious about all of that stuff.
Yeah, he's really honest. He gives good. I mean, he's.
He might have a couple of lame opinions, like that the Panthers won't win a playoff series, and that
I'm
I
talking
don't want to
about the
mention
football
Skyline
thing.
Chili because I'm
Oh,
tired of
so-
talking about it. I'm sure it's a fine, well-run organization with a lot of charitable interests, but this Skyline Chili, the food sucks. I mean, that's all I can say. And he's wrong about that. That's for sure. But I saw an item in the Let's Eat South Florida page about Texas Roadhouse again, and I can't tell you, Tony, how many people share the same opinion. Great food, incredible prices. Thinking about what's going on at the time here, it was $83 Gordon Ramsay for a bone-in ribeye. I mean, the
Yeah.
same things like $19.50 at Texas Roadhouse, if that. I mean, great prices, and they raved about the service and the atmosphere. Just a great place to go.
I think that that's what separates Texas Roadhouse from a lot of other places. It's the total package. It's not just the food, it's the atmosphere, it's the service, it's how you're treated. There's two different things about service. Are they quick? Do they give you time to eat? Do they give you time to digest your food? Are they rushing you in and out? And then how are you treated by the service staff? Are you treated with respect? Are you treated with, dignity? All of those things. And when you look at all those boxes that you have to check, Texas Roadhouse checks every single one of them. Listen, when I'm on the road, and I'm not saying when I'm flying with Joey, because we're having business meetings and business dinners that are already preset. But when I'm on the road driving to like Vermont, for example, and I have stopovers wherever I'm going to stop for the night, I always look to see if there's a Texas Roadhouse there because I want to go sit there, and I'm by myself. So you go sit at the bar, maybe you'll have a beverage, you'll have some food, and you're good for the night. And it's really good food, and they treat you with the deepest respect. And I think that's what you talk about when you're talking about Texas Roadhouse. Their food is consistent. It's always good. No matter where you go, you're going to get a good meal. And this isn't, and Lubie can attest to this because he and I were together. This is, even though there's 645 Texas Roadhouses throughout the country, it's not your normal quote unquote chain restaurant. Yep. But trucks aren't coming up with driving in with steaks from all other parts of the country and then bringing them to that Texas Roadhouse, right, Lubie? Everything is made on site at every single restaurant. 99% of it. They're making their own bread. They're making their own salad dressing. They're making all of their different things. And I will tell you this: I saw a note someone sent me that Michael Mayo was at. I don't know if he was at Texas Roadhouse or someone else was, and they go, "This bread is so warm and good."
Oh, yeah, he made a comment. I mean, it was a wisecrack basically by Mayo. You know how he is.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, you know what? Regardless of whether it's a wisecrack or not, I am telling you, people, I've said this before, go to Texas Roadhouse. But if you go, make up your mind that if you're on one of these keto, low carb, Meshuggah diets, forget about it that night. Just go there and have a couple of rolls with the sweet butter and enjoy yourself because you're going to have a special night there. Texas Roadhouse, and use the app.
Yeah, that's
I mean, it doesn't, It's not far off what you would have gotten for like a buck and a half at
Oh,
Gordon Ramsay Steak in Atlantic City,
yeah,
and you're getting out of there, with a check for $50 for two people. It's just absolutely incredible. All right, more and margaritas. Tony, you always mention that. So
Oh,
great place, Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. Congratulations, always favorable. I mean, when you see comments. I go by, the majority. There's always going to be somebody fetching and
I
complaining
have a
about
bad time.
something, right? So, but if you see the mass majority of people are always saying something very favorable, that's a pretty good sign. And it
yeah,
speaks
it is.
volumes about Texas Roadhouse. And we missed Ed Garcia this week. You think he's listening in Aruba? I think he's
Oh,
on vacation.
Where
he's,
where is he?
Maybe I
Is he?
should have said that. Maybe
I
he's
think he's
supposed to
on
be in
vacation,
Cleveland.
right? He's
I
on
don't know. Yeah.
vacation.
he's in
Oh,
Aruba.
okay.
So I hope, and I love what we do. I hope he's not listening and just spending time with his family. That man deserves time away as much as anybody.
Yeah, you got
Segreto's
that
on the
right.
air. I mean, that is family, right
Yeah,
there.
well,
Okay.
we are.
All
I
right.
love him to death, man. They're great people. Great.
All right, more with Tony Segreto, more old school. We've been all over the planet here, which is great. All the way back to the snowplow game somehow. Do you remember the name of the criminal? I always forget it. I need Prevagen for this.
Oh goodness me! I
Who was
forgot it
the
too.
ex-con that was driving the John Deere tractor onto the field there? And
Was it John Dillinger?
close to it. I mean, it was something like that, though. I mean, and it wasn't like this guy was some heinous criminal. It wasn't like they sent Whitey Bulger out there onto the field in Beantown, but very interesting all the way around that entire story. All right, coming back with more here. We've got the championship game tonight.
Love
Many
it.
other
Can't
things to
wait.
be decided. Tony's beloved Miami Dolphin organization. Is there an all points bulletin out? Do you know of a missing persons report filed on Chris Grier, who somehow all of a sudden is like Branch Rickey in the front office making deals,
Yeah. Yeah, I
innovative
tell you what,
stuff.
that trade with the Patriots, they get a couple good draft picks. That was
For a guy that we're barely going to play, honestly.
Every move they make, it's
It's
even
been
the most cynical of analysts is sitting there going, yeah, that's a pretty good move.
yeah, absolutely. I agree. It's like, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? Has there been this this transformation going on? I
Well, my
agree.
favorite.
Oh, listen, we just got a note. Mark Henderson. I think that is the name
And
of
I
the
believe that to be correct. I want to say
believe that
yes.
to be ding,
Right.
ding, ding. You win. You win
Yeah.
a conversation with
That's
Defo on the
from our
phone.
fan Alfred, man, on top of his game here today. Because I had the McLeans mistaken for the Redgraves. Which one was the crackpot that thought that she had lived like 1,000 lives? Which, like, we're hoping is true, maybe, right? I mean, as I get closer and closer to that number where you're thinking, are you on borrowed time, Deforrest? Yes. But, yeah, I mean, so maybe you hope there's something to this whole afterlife thing. But it was the McLeans, right? Which one was it? Shirley McLean?
Shirley
Was she
McLean's
the
the
one that was
professor.
like a little
Shirley
bit
McLean,
nutso? Yeah. Everybody wanted to run a talk show. She was like finished. Her whole career was shot. Then she started saying weird things, and all of a sudden she was back into math, which is kind of the premise of this show, Tony Segreto. Right? And that's the way it goes. All right. Many things happening. A lot of excitement all around the globe in the sporting world. And we'll continue with Tony Segreto, a little old school. That's Mike Lubitz. I'm Jeff DeForest. Very happy to have you with us. Tony usually with us on Wednesdays from 8 to 9 with Old School. It's also brought to you by Catholic Health Services. And we'll have more with Tony Segreto, the great Tony Segreto, in a moment. Now that. 30 years, Lubie. One show. Always top rated. It was incredible. It's 8:28.
It's Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
What do you think in this one, Tony? You'll be handicapping. Will you be laying points? Will you be taking points?
I'm really struggling with who I want to win. You have Joe Burrow, who's just the quintessential. He's the second coming of Montana. That kind of good-looking, unflappable, just can get for 3 quarters, get the snot kicked out of him, and then that 4th quarter still get up off the mat. Certainly, the definition of what Muhammad Ali said, the definition of a champion is how many times you can get up off the mat. And to see Joe Burrow do that with an offensive line that's filled with matadors, it's remarkable.
Matadors. Listen to you, Tony.
Well, yeah, every single one of those offensive linemen play Ole.
They come into that song, Ole, Ole, I cannot fly.
Yeah.
9 sacks against Tennessee.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here on Ion Channel. Jack
Can I just say something?
Yes,
Can
sir.
I just interrupt and say something for a second? We joke a lot about me or you, whatever the case might be. But I love doing this hour. It's so much fun. It's just
It's the inspiration hour.
Do it after week.
I really do. I just love the hour. We can have fun, and I hope it's a good distraction for people who do listen. A distraction enough where they walk away going, I laughed, maybe I learned a little something, and at the very least, it took me away from the problems that I have to deal with every single day. And that's really at the end,
that's the
right?
name of the game.
It's just entertainment. Exactly,
Yes.
it's entertainment
Free entertainment.
with a little bit of base knowledge, hopefully.
Yeah, a lot of experience here on this show. Especially in your case, Tony.
Listen, I did say to Roseanne the other day when I'm looking and I'm seeing all my daughter and I are talking about all these different the moves that everybody's making. Right, you got Al. Al is now doing Amazon play-by-play and what they paid him, and he's doing it with Kirk Herbstreit. And Kirk he's going to be double dipping. God bless him, man. He does a great job.
He's doing golf actually now. Also. He'll be doing the Masters. Nance is finished. He got mowed down by Herbstreit.
I'm going to tell you what. Here's the other thing. You bring up Nance. I thought that Nance and Grant Hill and Raftery did a magnificent. I loved their call on Saturday night. I just thought the way they did it, and I love Grant Hill. I just think he's such a classy guy, and being a former Duke player, and the way he handled that, and the way he went on the post game with Ernie Johnson and
was he
and
crying?
All the guys.
Any tears? No tears.
No, but he was just so.
Billis,
classy.
I heard, couldn't even compose himself to finish a sentence. They had to just silence him immediately. They took him right off the screen. Billis.
No, he was really good. He was really good.
I wasn't crying. I was sitting next to a guy at the track yesterday.
What is it about Krzyzewski that you don't like?
No, I don't have a problem with Krzyzewski. Look, I respect his accomplishment. There's no question. And a long time ago, I was kind of very quick to jump on the anti-Krzyzewski movement. And then Leslie Visser got an interview with him where we were working at some schlock radio station. He agrees naturally with Leslie to come on the show. And the guy was fascinating. He really was. And he won me over. And I thought, man, I need to rethink my position about this guy. But I'm not a fan, as you well know, well documented here, of these programs and people who avoid all scrutiny. At the time where the NCAA was cracking down very heavily on certain programs and just completely ignoring what obviously must be various indiscretions by others, including Coach K, who seemed overly sanctimonious to me for what was probably actually going on. That was just my opinion. All right. I mean, it's the same thing, like where you have Nick Saban. Do you think everything he's done has been within the parameters of whatever those now somewhat obsolete NCAA guidelines? Well, they're always obsolete, but at least now they're not as effective. But you think he's never been in any kind of violation, right? Academic qualifications, money. What do you think, Tony Segreto? Would you say squeaky clean? It's not possible. It's impossible.
I think this is what I think. Okay, and we
How do we get into this again?
we disagree.
I had a whole other thing I wanted to talk about. But
Go ahead, talk about it.
No,
Go
go ahead.
We're just going to go and sir. I just think
is it
I just
possible?
think we witnessed a guy. I thought that Krzyzewski, like him or dislike him, he's the modern. He's for people like my son and my daughter. That age group, he was really the modern day John Wooden, in terms of his accomplishments.
Great,
as a coach.
No one can question.
And I thought he handled this last, month with March Madness. I thought he handled that with dignity and class the whole way.
He looked like he was going to have a nervous breakdown. What are you talking about, Tom? Were you watching the same press conference I was?
You know what? All I know, I'm going to go ahead. What do you want to talk about? Let's talk.
This story
God
is going
forbid I
to
actually give some level of sanity to this.
There's no sanity in what you're saying. It's insane. The guy was ready to just melt down completely after that ball game. He was crushed. I don't know. No, I'm only teasing you, Tony. This is a story, though, and it's along similar lines. Now I always thought that the two things that would survive a nuclear war, which may not be so far away, or far-fetched even, would be the cockroach and Ben Roethlisberger, right? Two toughest living beings. I mean, the cockroach has survived been around since the beginning of time, right? You can't get rid of these things. Yep. And and you've tried, I haven't had one recently where there's a roach crawling and you're like, okay, so you spray it with every bug spray that you have, right? Even though none of it is like really designed to kill roaches, and that doesn't work. And then you chase it with like a broom and hammer this thing. Like it was Chuck Wepner in the late rounds against Ali, and that didn't work. And then you would spray like an entire fire extinguisher on the bug, and it would still crawl away. And then you'd throw the extinguisher at the bug, right?
And it's still there.
And it's still there, laughing at you. And that's Roethlisberger, right? I mean, how many times you've seen this guy crushed? Just like he was bowled over by one of those asphalt paving units, and he gets up, throw another pass. Tiger Woods, though, is the most indestructible human being that ever lived. There's no doubt about it, right? He can roll his car over the Pacific Palisades right into the ocean off Santa Barbara there.
I know. It's
and get up and go, okay, you want to play 9 today? I don't know. I'm not feeling so hot. My rib's a little sore.
Instead of 18, we'll just play 9. Yeah.
So he's coming back now. I mean, it looks to me, I don't know. I mean, this is just, the way the vibe is kind of going.
I cannot wait to hear how he really wasn't hurt and this whole thing
wasn't
real.
Obviously. I mean, he nearly had an amputation.
No. I got to know. Defo would come up with some sort of, there's got to be something
I just think
we're not being told here.
Amazing that this guy.
There. Come on. Don't
he's going to win the Masters. He's going to win the Masters.
Don't ruin it.
Because it's impossible. It's impossible to conceive of.
You're not going to come up with some theory that there's this conspiracy that I wasn't really heard, that it was all a publicity stunt, and that we're being duped.
I don't know where you're going with that, Tony. No, he never said or implied anything like that.
That's kind of what you would do, though. You would tell us that.
Well, right? I mean, if I believed that to be true, I probably would have said something along those lines, but I don't. I believe he was seriously hurt. I never thought he was going to play golf again.
Yeah, we thought he was done.
I mean, I'm not any medical expert, but it sounded really gruesome what happened to him. The things that he had to endure, and then this is Casey Martin City, man. I think he might have been one of the guys that want Casey playing, right? Who could use a golf cart more than Tiger Woods right now? Yeah, he's in the Masters for sure if he's riding around in a cart like he was Arnie Palmer.
God bless him, man. I'll tell you what. That's just that's Brady's the same way. I mean, you think about it. I don't know about Roethlisberger, but Brady's the same. I mean, he's defying age, and Woods is defying this kind of injury to be able to come back.
This is like his 100th injury that would have knocked anybody out of their career.
He was put together with baling wire and all these different. God bless him, man. He has got to be.
what's he going to be like when he's 80? I can't even
80.
imagine all these different things that's happened to him. But to your point, I mean, I'm joking around, but you're right. I mean, he is indestructible. He is incredible. To hear him come back and be able to play in the Masters, that's going to be the story, and it's going to be the story. And that's another thing. It's one thing to say, I'm going to come back and I'm physically I'm going to be able to do this. Okay, that in of itself is amazing. But now the throng of media that's going to be, hounding him for this entire week. Woof.
No, they'll keep him away from Tiger, man. I don't think the golf media is not hounding Tiger Woods. First of all, it's going to be, it's probably a limited access anyway, Augusta National. I mean, John Daly can't even get in there, right? And he won one of them, didn't he? Doesn't he have like a green jacket? I guess he doesn't, or he'd be playing in the tournament. But so and look, Tiger's so guarded by people. Remember when I remember one year I was doing a show at the round. We used to go down there all the time to do radio shows, and it was the final round in that year that Tiger was dueling Phil Mickelson, and it was a tremendous conclusion to the tournament. And Tiger eventually prevailed on some miracle shot, just like he had in many other tournaments that he won. And Phil was left a bridesmaid once again. And, because Tiger was playing in a tournament, they changed all of the security rules. And you had to, leave your cell phone with a security guy.
Yeah, no, I remember that.
I mean, you couldn't even take, like you were, going to go fly to Russia or something. I mean, you had to leave all of your devices there in the parking lot, and you're getting frisked on the way in. I mean, Tiger changed all of that. They didn't care if anything else got, annihilated by some crazy man with his cell phone.
To your point, it was so different because in the past, and you'll recall this, I mean, you would be walking around Doral and you'd be having a soda walking together with Jack Nicklaus or Arnold Palmer or Gary Player, and they'd be chatting with you. They'd be coming off a green. I remember Jack coming off 9, and I was at 9, and he'd go, "Hey, Tone, how you doing?" And it was that kind of relationships that you had with the players then. And now it's a lot more guarded and a lot more, everybody's kind of at a distance where you really, and that's the thing I think that's kind of sad, is that one of the things that really I loved about my career at the time it was, and your career, and our careers continue, but we had an opportunity to actually get to know these athletes.
Yeah, Defo says that all the time.
Get to know them, spend time with them, know their families in many cases, and I cherish all of that. The people that we've been able to meet. And I did a speech the other day, and I told people that I don't think I've ever met athletes that didn't have the strongest mind of will. There's not an athlete that I don't know that's a really great athlete that doesn't have this incredible willful mind, to be able to stay focused, to be able to dedicate themselves to whatever they do, whether it's an Olympian or a football player, or baseball player, or youth basketball player, whatever the athlete. Take from a John Van Briesbrook to a Dan Marino to a Mickey Mantle and a Joe DiMaggio, the wills and the focus that these athletes had. I don't know anybody in another profession that has that kind of focus. Maybe a neurosurgeon for sure, heart surgeon.
I'm thinking this guy was no neurosurgeon, but I don't know if
Adam
Pac-Man Jones had this kind of mentality. I believe this, that the highly successful athletes are extremely competitive, and our good buddy Eddie Kaplan, a longtime sportscaster here in South Florida, great guy with a tremendous opinion. And, and not afraid, to be completely contrarian to whatever's popular at the time, and then eventually proving out to be right. It's like, what was the war in Vietnam? People were in favor of it at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of, the message you were getting. Yeah, it's a real good idea, man. It's going to help the economy. You're like, what? What are you talking about? But, he always said that, that these guys, they want to beat you at anything. And, that's kind of what makes them and separates them from, the average guy that has athletic talent. And
to me, it's more than just the competitiveness and the skill. It's their wills. They're remarkable. Guys, they would will themselves.
Will an empty chamber. I mean, it's right out of speaking of Vietnam, deer hunter.
Yeah,
right? They have that ability,
yeah. I mean, when as coaches too, I remember, Don and Jimmy,
man, they just, and Howard, they honestly felt in their hearts, deep down in their hearts, that they could will their teams to win. They could actually make that happen. And that's just a remarkable trait. And there's one thing to like think you can do it, another thing to actually do it. And they did it over and over again.
Now, is Tanger going to get any of your sucker money to win the Masters
Nah.
tournament? What do you think?
I don't know. I may do
I'm
something.
glad he's in the field. It has to enhance the odds. I mean, he's not.
What are the odds on him?
He's not officially in the field yet. He says it's going to be a game time decision, and I guess if you see him eating like a cheese and pimento sandwich or something, then you realize that he's getting ready for.
I think gotta be. I think part of his decision is going to be based on he wants to feel like he can actually be competitive. And I don't mean that to be the understatement, but I don't think he wants to go out there just for the sake of saying I can play.
Oh no.
The big issue seemed to be whether he could handle walking the course, which people say. You can see it on certain holes that it's the topography is very hilly compared to even the usually highly undulated courses or whatever.
Right.
But then it's extreme at the Masters, and that would be the issue. Whether his physical condition was up to par to, pardon the pun there, to go ahead and be able to walk the course for 4 days if indeed he goes.
Well, the script, as you well put it, and you're absolutely right. It's like scripted, like you can't believe it would be the script would go like this: that the first 3 days he handles it, and he's in a position to maybe win this thing, and then on the last day he's Kirk Gibson. Going down the last 3 holes.
Oh yeah, no,
I mean that's kind of how this thing is written out.
Remember when he was limping and he still won the thing? He was always hurt.
Yeah,
I mean, these guys had like more knee surgeries than Jim Otto.
Oh,
he's had like 100 back surgeries. His back is in worse shape than Larry Bird's was at the end of his career, and then he survived like not only 2 car crashes, but that bout with whatever drugs he was using, pharmaceuticals, whether it was to treat pain or whatever. I mean, and remember. The image of that guy wigged out of his mind on the side of the road by that Mercedes in West Palm Beach. That wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't. And you mentioned Larry Bird. I mean, I talking to Magic and talking to Larry himself. I mean, how that during the Dream Team's run, how Larry had to like stop at practice and lay down on the court because his back was so bad. I mean, the pain they go through to compete. That I mean, they didn't know if Larry could actually handle the Olympic travel and the games. That's how bad his back was. And Jim Otto, to your point, again, another. I mean, not just. He must have had at least 20 knee surgeries or whatever. I mean, the knees were replaced.
And that's when they didn't know what they were doing. I mean,
no, I had no clue.
Yeah.
And he's playing a position where he's constantly in a position where his knee is getting not only nailed, but he's in a crouch position all the time. And he's I mean,
it was painful to watch his story. It really was.
Yeah, it was. And he was set the tone, man. He what did he own? Like 50 Burger Kings or something. I mean, I remember him giving me a tour of Burger King University down in Miami.
Lubie's a graduate. He proudly hangs his shingle in the background there by what used to be a crib. Speaking of cribs. I mean, this is a great place if you need any kind of service, whether it's at home or, you need any kind of assistance with rehabilitation of any type. And we talk about them all the time with nothing but glowing praise because it's well-deserved. Catholic Health Services, Tony Segreto.
We should have, they should have been around when Jim Otto needed them, or we should have told Tiger about Catholic Health Services because they would have fixed them up real good.
Yeah.
It is a special place. And we talk about it every week, and people keep and Defo. It's because you've experienced it. It validates everything that I've been talking about, and it should validate everything that people are listening to when we talk about Catholic Health Services. That if you want to if your loved one needs a rehab, whatever that rehab is, and we can go down the list. From strokes to knees, from shoulders to whatever, backs. If you want them to get the best treatment, and you want
peace of mind at night where you can actually close your eyes and go to bed and know that your loved one is being taken care of with the highest care they could possibly get, with compassion, with people who really do care about them, and people who will call you, God forbid something does happen, but they'll also call you to tell you how well the rehab is going, then Catholic Health Services is where you need to put your loved one, whether it's your mother, your father, your grandmother, grandfather, whatever the case might be. This is where you need to have them, because these people do this every single day. They have a track record that's unbelievable. You have people like Jeff Deforrest who they trusted their mother's final days with Catholic Health Services, and not only trusted them, but they treated his mother with the greatest dignity and care that you could possibly treat it with. And at that time of their lives and time of the lives of the loved ones, there's nothing replaceable for that other than having people that care about you. And I think that's what Catholic Health Services does every single solitary day for people all over this community. And that's all I can say, is that they're excellent at what they do. They care about what they do, and they care about the families. Yep. And I think that's what's important.
And we always mention communication, such a critical element in these types of sort of crisis situations, if you will. And nobody even came close to doing a job like that. I mean, it was a veritable teacup ride for the brain, trying to figure out who was treating, in this case, it was my mother. And that was all prior to getting involved with Catholic Health Services. Straighten it right out and put everybody at ease. And that's what you need.
Yeah, my wife, a loved one, family members in the hospital now. They've been in the hospital a month. They've talked to the doctor one time.
Wow.
Yeah.
One time in a month. It's unconscionable. And that doesn't happen.
You find out he's on vacation with Ed Garcia and Aruba, right? And like, wait a minute, I thought you were at the hospital today doing surgery. What are you talking
unconscionable.
about?
Listen, I have the deepest respect for our doctors, but there has to be an opportunity for them to stay in touch with the family, to let them know what's going on.
Tony Segreto. All right, we'll come back. We'll wrap up this edition of Old School. Tony usually with us every Wednesday. If you're a fan of Tony Segreto's and or the segment here,
Are you a fan of Tony Segreto's, Jeff?
Come on, Tony. You know I love you like a brother. I need this. You're the big brother that that I am. I didn't really necessarily. I mean, I love my brother, but he didn't have the same sanctimonious, virtuoso type of ability that you have to communicate good over evil.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Can I say something real quick for people listening to us? Defo, we joke. I joke about being the punching bag for Defo and Lubie, but it's all done in so much fun and so.
No,
much
we're
respect.
serious, man. We try to hammer you every time on the show.
It's done with fun and respect, and we do love each
it's
other.
sports. We're in a toy department, my friend.
Listen. Roseanne and I were at Gulfstream. At the bar, we see Defo and Stang, and Defo goes, "Why don't we do a show together?" And I go, "Let's do it."
Funny.
And as a result, here we are. And
it's been a few years now, Tony. Too.
Yes,
it's been a lot.
And the evolution is great. I mean,
and
when
I said this the other day, this is the best hour of the week, man. I look forward to it. It's fabulous. We have fun, and you get an opportunity to chat, and you get the opportunity to chat about something you care about with people you care about. So it's awesome.
I want to talk about one of the iconic figures in South Florida sports as we close things out. Just a few minutes here with Tony Segreto. I'll reveal that that's professional tease.
That was a tease, all right.
Everybody's going, hey, who the hell is he talking about, man?
I know.
No, but this is something that occurred to me when I was thinking that I was about to eat it, and I was in some unfortunate. Turbulence on a Spirit Airlines flight, which is kind of like, you're going to die in a tuna can, right? You're like, if this is the way it ends, I want to make sure that I pay tribute to this guy because I thought he was brilliant during his career. All right, we're coming back with more with Tony Segreto in a moment. Don't forget about our good friends down at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, man. What a great place tonight if you want to watch a championship game. The renovated sports bar is incredible, and the food and drink is just off the chart, man. I was in a place, a lounge. I want to say, look, the food was free and everything, so you really can't complain. But, I mean, just the thought that they even served this to their best of guests when they could have just as easily consulted Don Cajemi and gotten the recipe for the Italian fisherman pizza or something, or at least attempted to. They have a Madorano spinoff there. Why not a Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill? That would be the way to go, because the food and drink is sensational. Atmosphere is second to none. First-class organization run by great, great people. I mean, really spirited people, Tony. You would love Larry Calvano. I don't know if you know him, St. Thomas Aquinas affiliate there.
Oh, yeah, I know all those St. Thomas guys.
Yeah.
Listen,
They really are sharp guys, and they've done well for themselves. And you can see why they're successful. They have that drive you were talking about before, and as it applies to all of their sports teams that they were all a part of, too.
Yeah.
Great place. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. We'll get down there, Tony. And I'm sorry you're off the freebie Mayo ticket if he loses. But I'll buy you dinner. If I have to pay this one, I'll buy your dinner. You come with us, all right?
No. I would love to. I'd love to come, and I'll pay my own bill.
Oh, and then Mayo starts stipulating that we can only share a wedge salad.
They don't. Can I tell you something?
Telling us
I don't want to say
They don't
fucking
have
salad,
wedge-
a wedge salad.
They
I
don't
think they have a
wedge
wedge salad.
Oh, they
don't
don't have a
even
wedge salad? All right,
at-
yeah.
at-
No.
Who gets a wedge salad?
Hey, listen, can I tell you
No,
something?
no,
real quick?
First
The
thing you
other
do,
day-
you cut it, and it's blue cheese
other
all over
day-
your
the
face.
other-
Yeah.
The other day, I did an interview with a University of Georgia football player. We did a recap of the Orange Bowl game. We did a whole big thing for Orange Bowl. So the SID jumped on real quick before we started the interview and said, "Hey, I just want to thank you, Tony, for recommending Runway 84." He goes,
Nice.
Oh,
when
nice.
He came down for the game. We took a group to Runway, and it was incredible, absolutely
Nice.
incredible.
No, great
So,
spot, man.
it
They're
was-
I would love
closing for renovations, though.
Yeah,
Mayo's going to try to milk this.
Under the wire.
He's hoping for a postponement of the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
playoffs.
exactly.
they're not closing for renovations till after Mother's Day, though. I don't believe.
Well, that's
Yeah,
the thing is
it-
we
you
need
know,
to get through the first round, win, and then get in there
Wait
before
a minute, I thought the original bet was they wouldn't. That they would.
They're
wouldn't
going
win
to
this
lose
year.
in the first round
They
of the
would not
playoffs.
win
They're the
this
first team to clinch.
Oh, I thought there was a loss of a game only.
No, no, no.
No.
Playoffs.
They're going to sweep whoever they play. Don't worry.
They haven't won a
Tony.
playoff series.
I'm
since-
not worried. I'm not
We'll
worried.
be-
They're going to get to the second round. They're
If they
Oh.
aren't, this should be loser leaves town. Should be
No,
the
I mean, they're
stipulation.
loaded.
Yeah.
That team's loaded.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if I lose, I should have to leave town. I really
Nice.
should, in disgrace, if I lose this bet. All right, we're going to
You've
come
done-
back and
you've
wap
done
things
that
up.
before.
I was gonna say, isn't that every
You've done that
Maybe
before.
sometimes I wish I had. Yeah, that would have been better. We'll come back and wrap things up with Tony Segreto. There's a special iconic athlete we need to address here, at least for a minute. So we'll come back in a moment and do that. Now that
The time.
it's 8:56. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
Mike Mayo, why is it necessary? I mean, it's cliche at this point to put the guy out there on the edge of the pier and be reporting.
couldn't agree
as
with you
the
more.
You're
storm
so
is
not
blowing in.
wrong. I remember so many times Bo Camper himself, because he's a big dude, holding onto a tree and like, yep,
Yes.
I'm here, I'm out here.
Yeah.
And it's like, Jesus,
Right.
Kim.
We would.
Did you ever get a sign of that? I mean, you never
No,
had to stoop
no,
to that, did
no.
you?
He said
Well,
no.
the only first of all, let me tell you something. When Weaver was punching away, part of
Yeah.
those punches were mine because
You were sending cash out to the dog track in
Oh,
between
yeah.
news shifts and
Oh,
then
yeah, he
reporting
was-
on the affairs of the world. Nice, Tony.
he was
I like that.
he would come into my office and he goes, "Hey, Kythe is running tonight. Kythe was a great dog." And I go, really? I said, what are the odds? He said, well, we got to put some dough on it. So I gave him some money for Kai. Then I saw some, I look at the odds, and my parents were going, and he'd hook up with my parents, and they'd be betting on the dogs. It was absolutely great.
Defo and Lubie always have a blast kicking it old school with the iconic Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
A reference in a clip to a legendary South Florida broadcaster, Bob Weaver, the weatherman, who was a degenerate weatherman, which you couldn't have any more respect for him. And I use that joke a lot when I was in Atlantic City because everybody was way off on the weather that was taking place in South Florida. They thought maybe they'd have to have some kind of acceleration of the car at Gulfstream Park because of these storms. Now, it did play havoc with the airline travel, Tony, so I don't know where you're going.
Yeah, be careful.
But I would try to get there fast.
Going to Beantown.
Oh,
Okay. No. All right. And what airline are you flying on?
Delta.
Then you have a shot. All right. All right.
You have a shot.
You ever notice they're never punted? Oh, well, no, they've had various work stoppages and all kinds. They're worse than Major League Baseball. It's unbelievable. All right, but you will be flying. And this guy, I was thinking, it's not quite like Marino, but almost Marino-esque, the stature that was enjoyed. And I love the weird sports that we had in South Florida before we had like pro basketball and pro hockey and pro baseball. There was really the Dolphins and the University of Miami football team. They didn't even have a basketball program, but the gap was filled in some regards by highlight, which was very prominent, and it was unique. It kind of made you feel like, wow, I'm in a completely different place, watching this game being played, which was sensational at the highest levels. And the best of those guys, your buddy, Joey Cornblatt, I don't think that he is revered with the kind of homage that is his just due as a man that really was, very much on the Mount Rushmore of faces that made the South Florida sports scene.
I think the reason for that is, and you're right, and the reason for that is that the sport itself, no one even knows. If you take anybody under the age of probably 40 or 50, even 50, and ask them what highlight is, they just don't know. They don't even know. And you ask them to look it up, and
it's hard to find.
First of all, they don't even know how to. They don't even know how to spell it.
Yeah.
They think highlight.
It's a beer to them. Yeah. It's a beer out of Tampa.
So when the sport doesn't even exist anymore for the most part, I mean, you talk about on life support. It's well beyond that. I think that's the issue. If the sport was still thriving and people still went to the frontons like we used to go, then Joey would be, he wouldn't have to ever pay for a drink again in his life. He wouldn't.
Traveling with you, he probably never has to pick up a tab either.
And he, he's very humble about it, and he's good about it. And he's like you and I, Jeff, in terms of unless you ask him, and unless you ask me or ask you, we never talk about what we do or what we did. It never comes up. It's not something that we tell people, oh, guess what I did. I never bring that up. And neither does Joey. And then if people ask him, then he'll go into his, he will tell them about, he won't even go into it that much, but he will tell them about it. And, but agreed. And again, I think it has all to do with the sport in of itself isn't around anymore. It really isn't. I mean, they're trying to resurrect it, but they're doing a horrible job of it. So
those blue hairs, man, on Alberto Vio 5-9 at the Dania Fronton late in his career.
Joey,
don't overserve. Like, lady, man, how did you get your hair that color of orange, man? I mean, unless you're in the circus, it's really hard to.
Well, you know what we'll do is
duplicate that look of Bozo.
How about in a couple of weeks? What we'll do is we'll get him to come on with us. So he's got.
It'd be awesome, man.
And we'll
hook up a computer. Is he a computer savvy?
He struggles a little bit with that end of it. Well, listen, we book our flights together, right? So we'll get on the phone and we'll start going through, flights availability and when we need to be out at the location we're going to, and when we're coming back, and how we don't like to fly. We came back from Los Angeles a couple of weeks ago, and we were in Long Beach, California for a big event, and we had to take a 6 a.m. flight from LAX. And it's a good 40-minute ride
Yeah.
from Long Beach to LAX, as you
Holy
well know,
Jerry
Joe.
Tarkanian, man. You're in Long
And
Beach
I
State.
mean, we were up at 3:30 in the morning, and he was in the next room, and I'm knocking on his door, going, "Let's go, man! We gotta go."
Is he always
And,
ready?
yeah, he's always ready, man.
okay.
He's early. He is always ready, and we have a good time.
I worked some TV shows with a friend of mine, and he was known to be of a slovenly nature. And at the time, I was really dedicated to what I was doing, so I always made sure that I was way early and did everything I could to please the people that I was working for, so that they would give me more opportunities, which is what I wanted.
Yeah.
And so I try to be very professional about it. And this guy, it's time to leave for the arena. We're supposed to tape like an opening for this boxing event in Tampa. And I literally, I knock on the guy's door, and we're not going to be late, but we're going to make it on time.
Yeah.
And the guy is wearing just a pair of socks, and I'm like, man, I'm going, man. I don't know about you. And it ended up that as we were about to tape this segment, which the guy wasn't even there for, he hadn't made it yet to the arena. And this was his first job working with this network. And I'm thinking, how could you blow this opportunity? It's fantastic. I think he was replacing like the fight doctor, Freddie Pacheco, as a color analyst on a boxing telecast. And sure enough, the technical problems, shot down the ability to tape the thing when we were supposed to. So we didn't do it till an hour and a half later when this guy, Chuck, ended up walking onto the set as we were doing, like, just the guy was in the countdown, 3, 2, and then here he comes, standing on the right side with a little microphone going, yeah, it's going to be a good one tonight. I tell you what, these two guys are evenly matched, and if you're looking for excitement.
I'll tell you one real quick. I know
what
we're
the hell
running
is
late,
that?
but during the storms, you remember there was a break that you were just, the break before, you were asking if I had ever done holding onto a tree or whatever.
Yep.
So there was a hurricane. I forget which one it was, but it was pretty brutal. So they actually got hotel rooms. There was a hotel right next to our, it's still there, right next to our studio in Miramar. So they had a hotel room for Jackie and a hotel room for me, and we had to be back on the set by 6 a.m. and it's howling out there. It is really blowing strong, and we had no power in the hotel, so we all have our phone flashlights on, trying to get ready. And even though we're like 3 minutes from the office, I mean, literally down the street, Jackie and I go out into the weather to get into my car, and a tree had fallen on my car.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
That makes it tough to drive. Yeah.
A little difficult. and I
was Pocamper in it? I mean, it was a sports guy in it?
but man, I had to recruit quickly in this mess. I had to recruit a couple of guys to go, listen, someone's got to help us get this tree off the car so we can get the car to go to work. I mean,
Ross Nobles, man. I mean, they would have run him. All right, we have to run. Tony, we're on overtime here, and you have to go. You're on your way to Beantown with the great Joey Kornblit, one of the really standout. I mean, you talk about iconic figures in South Florida sports. I love that guy. Mike Lubitz, a pleasure. Appeal yourself off to Matt Monday here on the Defo Show. Thanks to Jack, Amy, and the whole crew there at Ion Channel. Supposedly big things brewing, although Jack was awfully happy about my retirement announcement and believed it to be true.
I love that. That's
and he was rooting for it.
Great. That's
Come
not
on, Jack.
great.
I love you, man.
Yeah.
Took a shot on us. We took a shot on him. And so far, here we are. We're both firing shots at each other.
We're blanks.
A lot of fun being with you. We'll do it again tomorrow. We'll have the usual fanfare on the program. And, of course, we'll have the results of the college basketball championship. Who you picking, Lubie?
Kansas. I'm going Kansas. I'm chalking it up.
Chalking it up. I'm going to root for North Carolina tonight because they did salvage that game over Duke. They beat Duke twice in dangerous situations. I mean, where all of the sentiment, I mean, it was just overwhelming that, Duke was the team. And the whole Coach K story, which is a great story. Unfortunately, people die in fairy tales, too, as you heard in Cinderella Man. Yeah, Max Baer was on that thing. All right, we'll see you tomorrow at 7 a.m. It's been so much fun. We stayed for an extra 10 minutes, so thanks so much for tuning in. Google the Defo Show. You can catch us on Believe Network as well and find some of the things from today's show also on Ethan Skolnick's fine platform, 5 Reasons Sports Network, which is gathering a lot of steam locally here, Lubie, and we're happy to see people finding us all over the place. And we'll see you tomorrow at 7 as we leave and now that.
The time.
Where are these people, Defo? It's 9:08.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my show.